Good evening, everyone. It is 5:03 p.m. and I call this public meeting to order. I want to thank everyone who is joining in this meeting. If you want to make a public comment on the item listed on the consent closed session agenda, please listen carefully to the directions provided by the clerk at the opening of each item. Ms. Lozando.
Public hearing for visitors who wish to address the board on closed session items. 15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on closed session items. Speakers seeking to comment on other items are requested to make those comments during the public comment portion of the meeting at 6:30 p.m. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. The school board is prohibited by law from taking actions on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the school board does not respond to public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item included in this section of the agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining us remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. We will allow speakers from the audience to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have participants who wish to address the board on this time.
Thank you. Seeing none, hearing none, I close public hearing and I adjourn to closed session to discuss items 1A through 1D. The board will, excuse me, reconvene at the conclusion of closed session. Good evening, everyone. It is 7:02 p.m. and I will call this regular meeting to order. Welcome to tonight's board meeting. I want to welcome the media and everyone joining us in person and on Zoom. We ask those joining us this evening to please silence your electronic devices not linked to this meeting. If you would like to make a public comment, please listen carefully to the directions provided by the clerk at the opening of each public comment period. Superintendent Lyle.
President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, staff, and members of the public, and all our friends out in Zoom land, I'd like to remind you of our mission and our vision this evening. Our vision states that Madera Unified will set the standard for hard work, creativity, and resiliency with a fearless drive to continuously improve. And our mission states that we're committed to creating and sustaining a culture enabling Madera Unified students to experience an unparalleled educational journey that is intellectually, socially, and personally transformative. That is the nature of the work this evening.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 3, roll call. Ms. Lozando, please call the roll.
Trustee Campos Gutierrez is absent. Trustee Cervantes Hernandez? Here. Trustee Ahmad?
Here.
Trustee Cortez? He's absent. Trustee Dybert?
Here.
Trustee Fleek?
Here.
Trustee Salazar?
Here.
Clerk Mendoza?
Here.
And President Seibert.
Here. Okay, thank you. Did you need me to say how many or no? You usually do, but
No, for the record, we
All right.
marked him as absent. Mhm.
okay. Trustee Mendoza, would you lead us a flag salute?
Yes, please stand. Our flag is to the north wall. Ready? Salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Mendoza. Tonight's scheduled invocation will be provided by Pastor Joe Alicia, Awakened Church of God of Madera. I invite Pastor Alicia to the podium.
Good evening, President Seibert, Superintendent Lyle, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board. It's a privilege to be here, but let us read a portion of Scripture, and then let us pray if that's okay. Tonight's portion of Scripture will be out of Proverbs, chapter 3, and I'll just read a few verses from that, starting at verse number 5. Trust the Lord with all your heart, and do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all you do, and he will show you what path to take. Let us pray. Lord, thank you. Thank you for your love and your everlasting kindness towards us. Thank you for your mercy, Lord, that keeps us going every day. Thank you for the privilege that it is to be part of this amazing community, Lord God. Thank you for the public servants that work tirelessly to invest into our children, the inheritance that you have given us. I pray for the proceedings that will happen tonight and those that have already happened. I thank you for the decisions that we were able to make successfully, and I pray for the decisions that we need to make in the future. I pray that you give us the wisdom to do what is correct, to do what serves our community best and what honors you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Alicia. Okay, item number 4, closed session, reportable actions. Superintendent Lyle.
So President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, in closed session, the board took action to approve resolution number 31, 2024/25, and issues notices of non-reelection and release to probationary and/or temporary certificated employees pursuant to Education Code sections 4492.9.21 and 4495.4, effective at the end of the 24-25 school year, and directed the superintendent and a designee to send out appropriate legal notices. The roll call vote was as follows: 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 5, adoption of the agenda. Mrs. Lozando.
Action to add or delete items from any portion of the agenda or to discuss any consent agenda items must be taken prior to the adoption of the agenda.
Superintendent Lyle, does the staff have items to add or remove from the agenda?
No changes this evening, sir.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Trustees, do you have items you want to add or delete from the agenda? Seeing none. Trustees, do I have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda as presented?
President Seibert, I so move to approve the agenda as presented.
Do I have a second?
Trustee Fleek, I'll second.
Okay, been moved by Trustee Salazar and seconded by Trustee Fleek. Mrs. Lozando, please poll the board for the record.
Trustee Campos Gutierrez, who is absent. Trustee Cervantes Hernandez.
Yes.
Trustee Ahmad.
Yes.
Trustee Cortez is absent. Trustee Dybert.
Yes.
Trustee Fleek.
Yes.
Trustee Salazar.
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza.
Yes.
And President Seibert.
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 7 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent. One of those votes was preferential.
Thank you. Item number 6, communications. Item number 6A, student and staff recognitions. Item 6A1, recognition of Madera High School girls cross-country team. Superintendent Lyle.
So President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board and public, and you can see he's sauntering up here in his very cool collection of Stallion Spirit gear. Is District Athletic Director Marty Bitter to talk to us about the extraordinary season of our Stallion cross country team, and just because it's us, Marty, and we have a long history, as several of us in the room do, with Madera South. It's a love affair, and it never gets old to see the purple and black attack and be successful. This is pretty exciting.
Well, thank you. Somebody mentioned me wearing purple. I'm still very comfortable in purple.
I know
So
it, right? It's
spent a lot of time there. So
once you get comfortable, you can't ever really. It doesn't wash off.
that's right.
It doesn't
That
wash
is
off.
correct. That is correct.
These colors don't run.
So thank you for having us, Superintendent Lyle, President Seibert. Clerk Mendoza and members of the board. We were here a couple weeks ago celebrating cross country, and this is the other half of it. And I'm going to introduce Andrea here in a couple minutes, and she'll introduce Sky. But I do want to take the time. Sky started at Madera South in 2019. He became the head coach in 2019, and since that time, he's won 2 section championships in cross country, 1 boys, 1 girls, and finished runner-up twice, 1 boys and 1 girl. He has connection to many others because before that he was teaching at MLK, but he was and coaching there, but also coaching at Madera South. But it goes beyond that because I can't thank him enough for what he does for our middle schools and what he does for our elementary programs with cross-country track and Netherton relays. He hosts almost everything that we have. So the amount of time that he puts in, we talk a lot about alignment, the amount of time that he puts in not only with his own team, but all of the kids in Madera Unified, all the runners in Madera Unified is greatly appreciated. You know, we always talk as coaches about setting goals, and it takes a lot of hard work to achieve those goals, and kids work their tail off, and sometimes we don't quite get there, right? So we also have to tell them the lesson that, you know, you just got to continue on and continue on, and eventually you will. When I saw this cross-country team, you know, there's certain teams when we go to state cross-country or any of our events, like I could probably call out basketball this weekend and tell you out of the 12 games, 7 of the teams, without a doubt, you might as well give them the trophy before they play. But in this particular case, that hard work and perseverance paid off. And I think this is a team that came into the event knowing they had a shot, but everything and everyone had to be on their best. And it was one of those days, and of all teams, they knocked off the Clovis West Golden Eagles. So that's always a little pride in Madera when we end up taking care of one of the CUSD schools. So without further ado, I want to introduce Andrea Devine, the athletic director at Madera South.
Brought my trophy. Whoops. Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, and Superintendent Lyle. It is an absolute honor to have our girls cross-country team, our coaches, and our families and friends here to celebrate all of their hard work. They are the Division II Central Section champions, and they average over 60 miles to 70 miles a week that they train. They have worked tirelessly for this accomplishment, and I could not be more proud. I am going to now introduce our head coach, who has, like Marty has said, has been instrumental not just with Madera South, but with our district, Mr. Sky Fierro.
Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, Superintendent Lyle, board members. This season is definitely one to remember because, like Mr. Bitter said, we were not the favorite to go in and win. And even from the get-go, our #1 runner had Achilles tendonitis, was not running for about half the season. And I think that ended up being a blessing in disguise because I had to have a meeting with the rest of the girls telling them that they now have to step it up. They can't just rely on the #1 athlete to do everything for them and try to carry them through. We started off with a slow start, but from June, when we started our summer training, the goal was November. That's when the Valley Championship is. That's when the state meet is. And in the early stages, I told them the training is going to be slightly different than everyone else. I know what a lot of the other coaches are doing, but our goal will always be November. We came in about halfway through when Valerie Jimenez was able to run again at the Clovis Invitational, and with a full squad, we were able to win the large school division, which was a great accomplishment. Clovis Invitational is actually bigger than the state meet. It has more schools competing in it. Schools come from out of state to compete in it. It's held at Woodward, and that's our state course. So that was a really big motivational booster for everyone. And it kind of helped them along just maintaining motivation. Like Ms. Devine said, they run countless miles. We did morning practices all year, so we had the bulk of our workouts in before school even started. All the teachers are complimenting them, the students, for showing up before they do, getting their workout in, getting a shower in, and being ready for school. Then after school, they'll either do some weights or another run. We got to keep the miles up. We got to get them going. So just seeing the amount of work that they put in for not only the cross country team to help with the middle schools, the elementary schools, but then to stay on top of their book work. That, to me, that is the most amazing thing, that they are truly student athletes, not just the athletes. They're not just worried about the running part. As a runner, because we go 11 months, they get 2 weeks off after cross, and then we get to jump straight into track. 2 weeks after track, we get to go straight back into cross. It's not just a sport, it is a lifestyle. And so they have truly embraced it. We do have 4 seniors, and the amazing part is some are going into freshman year. Pulled them to the side, and I told them that they have a great group, and it's going to be a 4-year plan. We're not expecting huge things from every freshman. We want to see that growth all 4 years. We wanted to see the growth through the season, which we saw, and they put it together. They just needed to stick together. Madera has a huge history of running, all the way back to good old Coach Fierros back in the 60s. And so it was an amazing part to be able to coach these girls and keep that legacy going. We do have 6 girls here. One was absent, Ana Sanchez. She's a senior. She does other cheer, palm, stunt. She works at the dance studio, so she was quite busy. Our number 1 runner was Valerie Jimenez. She's a senior, and next year she will be heading to Stanislaus State to go run on their cross country and track teams under scholarship. Our number 2 is Susan Jimenez. Younger sister who is might be mentally more competitive, trying to fill those shoes and beat those records. Our number 3 runner, Jasmine Chavez. She is currently undecided in her future endeavors, but she knows she will be going to college for the doctor of some sort.
Education.
Medical.
Hey.
I know where you're going with that, and that would have been great for her. Our number 4 runner, Sofia Garcia. Freshman stud right here, came in and really made an impact on the team and showed up, especially when we needed her the most. So great job, freshman. We have Bianca Garnica. Sophomore. She came in last year not knowing anything about running, just truly enjoyed it and loved it, and is like, Coach, what do you need me to do? Okay, that's it. And so she just goes out, gives it her all, and is a great addition. And we have Olivia De La Cruz. Olivia is also our senior, going on to college next year, 4-year, still undecided. It's down to about 3. We're getting there. We're narrowing it down. We still have a little bit of time to figure that out. So lastly, I would like to say thank you for honoring them and all of their hard work, because it is truly unbelievable the amount of time that they put in and sacrifices that they make. It's going to bed early. It's not going to certain events. It's making sure that they're taking care of their bodies, eating correctly, and all the small things that make a difference. But because of all their success, we could not do it without all of the coaching staff, which was truly an awesome staff this year, because 3 of us actually ran together at Madera High. 2 had to work, but 1 present is Monica Felix. Me and Coach Felix ran together at Madera High, along with Benny Madrigal, who had prior engagements tonight. He's starting his own business, so he had to take care of some business as that. And along with Coach Ramon Delgadillo, who is a security guard here in the district and just a wonderful, smiling guy. And my philosophy with coaches as we bring them on is if you put positive people around students, then positive things happen. So it was a great honor to be able to have the coaches help me and get these girls to where they needed to be.
So Sky, there's a couple of things that are problematic about your presentation. One, you said countless miles. I know you've counted every single one. So that's not even close to true. You know exactly how many miles it is. You may not want to say that out loud because it would be an obscene number. And I'm not sure they've added it all up and it might hurt their feelings to know they've actually run that far in 1 year. Actually 1 season. Second thing is you didn't describe to the board and to the public the level of academic excellence that this team has achieved. Maybe just for a second, let us know a little bit about that, just in general terms.
I would love to
Hi, Coach.
speak. Hi, thank you for having us, President Seibert, Todd Lyle. Everyone on the board, thank you for recognizing these wonderful people. I go on and on about them. The side remarks, Anaí Sanchez, one of our seniors, is actually Madera South's senior class president. Jasmine Chavez is actually our senior vice president. She has a 4.5 and she's ranked 3rd in her class. She also has 2 school records. And Valerie Jimenez is a senior. She's got 4 school records, 1 in Madera County. And she set a school record at the state meet after having spent half her season in a boot. She was the beacon of resiliency that we needed and a wonderful example to everyone who got to watch this.
And Coach, right, just so that everybody knows, like when you hold a Madera South girls cross country record at our school, that's most of every school's record,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So like, let's just make sure we all understand that because the young ladies who have preceded them, who held those records, shattered everybody else's records.
Some of those records stood for almost 30 years. Phenomenal. Susan Jimenez has 2 school records. She's a phenomenal athlete. She's also an academic honors athlete. We also have Olivia Dela Cruz, who's also a honors athlete. Bianca and Sophia are multi-varsity athletes. Sophia being our youngest and earning 3 varsity letters in her first 6 months of school. Our kids work. When they're not running, they're doing homework. They're thinking about their grades. So they're not just waking up early and being there. They've done homework until it was time to go to bed. They're a wonderful encouragement to people around them, and we're so proud of them.
Piggybacking on the academics, I will actually be presenting 4 4.0 awards tomorrow night for these young ladies.
It's pretty outstanding. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
But yeah, last track season, we set a couple of school records. We set a Madera County record, and we're hoping to get a couple of more this coming track season.
This just kind of goes to prove why those of us who spent time at Madera South just love the place, because we know you're real, right? Sometimes the community doesn't know much about Madera South's reputation. They don't know about its history because it's still a pretty new school. But those of us who have supported and served and worked with the kids from Madera South, we know you're real, and you are incredible examples of Stallion pride. We're really, really proud of you. So this is where we invite you to come up here and stand. We get to stand like near you to see if some of you will rub off on some of us. And then we pretend like we had something really direct to be as a part of your success. Is that okay? So will you come up and just fake it with us for a photo?
So that means you guys are going for a run tomorrow morning?
I'll send my freshman, my Stallion freshman for that run. Get you in, right? Because you can't be behind coach, right? There'll be no way that you can be seen. So
Come over further.
there we go. We want to shake your hand. So you go this way and then you guys come around. Thank you. Congratulations. Buena suerte también. Congratulations. Congratulations. I think we have a whole bunch of future teachers in Madera Unified right here. Yes, right? Congratulations.
Congratulations for all your work.
Congratulations.
Of course. Thank you.
It's worth it, Coach. It's worth it.
Okay, well, thank you again, our students and our coaches, all the hard work that you put in. Okay, we move on to item 6.2A, Madera Minute. Superintendent Lyle.
President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board and public, this is where we share some highlights of the things that have happened in the last few weeks. And I mean, there's some pretty amazing highlights here in Madera Unified recently. Mr. Solario, if you would, please.
We start this Madera Minutes with great news. Torrey's High School has won the Madera County Mock Trial Championship Trophy. Students competed against Yosemite High School in the case of People vs. Gold, in which students took on the roles of attorneys and witnesses. The team will now represent Madera County at the state mock trial competition in March. Congratulations, Toros. And for the second year in a row, Madera Unified hosted the annual California Interscholastic Federation Central Section Master Wrestling Tournament at Selland Arena. The state qualifying two-day event featured 92 schools, including nearly 30 competitors from Madera Unified. Thank you to everyone who made this event possible. Students across Madera Unified competed in the Madera Unified League of Elementary Schools Track and Field Championships. The top 3 finishers in each event earned medals and qualified for the Madera County Youth Championship meet at the end of April. And other things, 8th grade students attending Madera South, and Torrey's High School next year had the opportunity to take part in a special preview event at each school. These students had the chance to explore the various programs, clubs, and activities available to them in the coming school year.
Okay, thank you. Item number 6B, public hearing for visitors who wish to speak on a subject not on the board agenda. Ms. Elizondo.
15 minutes of this portion of the meeting are reserved for members of the public to address the board on items not listed on the agenda and within the jurisdiction of the school board. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. If the subject is an item on the agenda, the board president has the option of asking the speaker to hold a comment until that item is called. Comments on items listed as public hearing on the agenda should be held until the hearing is opened. The school board is prohibited by law from taking action on matters discussed that are not on the agenda, and no adverse conclusion should be drawn if the school board does not respond to public comment at this time. If you wish to address the board on an item not on the board agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. Go ahead, sir.
Good evening. My name is Vincent Petrucci. I'm here this evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak for 3 minutes. Members of the board, Superintendent Todd Lyle, President Ray Seibert, I know a few of you. I've been in this building a couple times over the last 50 years. Anyway, tonight I'd like to propose to the board, to the Madera Coyotes, the city of Madera, of an individual that I grew up playing baseball with, and a beautiful individual. Lachelle Tarver was his name. I'm here tonight with his daughter, Chantel, and her grandson and her daughter. And My reasoning for being here tonight is I would like to propose to the board that Michelle Tarver, a calm, enthusiastic individual, our paths crossed playing Little League Baseball many years ago. Michelle played for Duncan and Scheid. I played for the Madera Merchants. The teams were both on the American League, Little League teams. As we know that all the youth baseball that we play here in Madera has long been number one on the screen for many people. Michelle's coach was Louis Munoz. My coach was Cardi Farias and Cecil Cox. We're both 10 years old. There I was standing 5 feet tall on the mound. Michelle was at bat. Our team was bright red. Michelle's team was bright green colors. I took a wind up and wow, I hit Michelle. He looked at me, I looked at him, and I motioned to him that I was sorry. And that's how it was. And I can't believe that I had hit him. And this is how our long friendship lasted for the last 50 years. I'm sorry to say that last March the 19th, Michelle died suddenly. As stated previously, I'm here tonight to see if we can propose a Lachelle Tarver Day. Lachelle Tarver went on to play Babe Ruth baseball, American Legion baseball. He flourished through high school. He was one of the only sophomores that ever played varsity baseball for a brilliant coach, Stan Bledsoe, who now has Clovis West Stadium, I believe, is named after Stan Bledsoe. We went on that year to win the 1976 NYL North Yosemite League, one of the tougher leagues in the state, and was second in the Valley due to a bad call from an umpire in North Bakersfield. But
never
anyway,
happens.
we were second. It happened. Lachelle went on to play at, he was drafted that year by the California Angels, 1977, went on and played at Reedley College, Sacramento State, and then was drafted by New York Mets in 1986. My time, I know, is up. He went on to play at the big leagues for the Boston Red Sox. I had the honor of watching him play at the Oakland Coliseum July 22nd, 1986, and one of his base hits that he received in the major league off of Joaquin Andar that day was really something that brought a lot of chills to me, seeing somebody that I'd played with at 9 years old. Now he's facing Joaquin Andar at the major league level. Lachelle Tarver, along with Brian Clark, are one of the two and only two individuals from Madera High Coyotes that played in Major League Baseball. So as stated for the third time, I'm here today to see if we can't do something to honor him. Lachelle Tarver Day, arena named after him, a baseball field, football stadium, a street. I wish you would take it into consideration. I wrote a letter. I think you all read the letter last week, and I appreciate the time. I'm sorry that it went over time. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Victor Ward. I actually live in, oh, I'm sorry. I should talk fast. My name is Victor Ward. I live in Belmont, California, which is the Bay Area. First, I wanted to start off with just to thank you for your time, your patience, your listening ear. Second, I'm here to talk about something called Real Time, which is something my company has designed and developed. It's a digital video yearbook, and it allows students to upload their own pictures, videos, music, and download pictures, videos, and music, transforming the traditional one-size-fits-none yearbook into something that's really personal and memorable. I want to tell you a story. About 30 years ago, I was a long-term sub in Oakland Unified, and I had a fifth grade classroom. It's June, it's promotion, graduation, and I'm watching my students and they're singing, "I Believe I Can Fly." And I'm watching them and I'm crying. It was just a fantastic time. If you think about graduation, is there a better moment in the school year than graduation? No. Everybody's fired up, everyone is smiling, everyone is happy. But if you think about it, the traditional yearbook misses the greatest day of the school year. every single time. You miss it. And again, if today we celebrated the cross country team, I saw wrestling, I saw a mock trial, we've heard about baseball. None of those things is given justice through the traditional yearbook. No visual performing arts, no orchestra program, no music program is given justice by the traditional yearbook. I'm not suggesting that we get rid of the traditional yearbook. It's wonderful and nostalgia. People get to decide. But there are teachers, administrators, students who are working very, very hard to produce a yearbook for the year 2025, but they're using tools from the year 1825. And I was in Elk Grove a couple weeks ago, and I was talking to one of the student board reps, and I said, what do you think about that? And she said, I have friends that are on the yearbook staff, and they're frustrated because we don't read the New York Times. This is a new age. And everyone here, the community, the teachers, the administrators, the parents, they deserve something that really honors what happens here in Madeira. The board deserves to have something that really honors what happens in Madeira. And I would suggest that, again, not to get rid of the traditional yearbook, but to have something that is truly memorable for this year and for years to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We do not have any others online that would like to address the board at this time.
Thank you. Seeing or hearing no one, I close public hearing. Item number 7, Student Board Representative Report. I invite Laila Webster to present the Torres High School Student Board Representative Report.
Straight from practice.
Yeah. Good evening, Madera Unified School District, Board President Seibert, Superintendent Lyle, Clerk Mendoza, and members of the board. I'm Layla Webster here with the Torah report. Next slide, please. After returning from break, our MUSD ASB leadership programs came together to host the second annual District Day of Service. Over 150 leadership students from all 3 comprehensive schools participated in service projects across the city. These projects included park cleanups, volunteering at the animal shelter, working in the community garden, and supporting the local rescue mission. It was an inspiring day of unity and service as we worked together to give back to our community. Next slide, please. We kicked off February with Tony in Wonderland, our annual Winter Sports Spirit Week. The week was filled with exciting spirit days, lunchtime activities, and our Winter Sports Rally, which featured our Dancing with the Teachers competition. Class officers from all 4 graduating classes were challenged to find a group of teachers and teach them a choreographed routine to perform at the rally. This year, our senior team took home the win. I was a part of trying to choreograph for the senior class, and what I love about our teachers and admin is that they're always open to do these random dances. I had them jumping up and down, and they were hesitant at first, but that's what I love about our teachers is that they're just always ready to be a part of our
Layla,
school.
you said that so nicely. Really what you meant was they're always willing to just
Yes.
get laughed at by the student body.
No.
It's okay. We've all done it. It's okay. But you said that so gracefully.
Our student body enjoyed all of the dances. They were really funny. But yeah, next slide, please. The Torres High School academic decathlon team competed in their first event of the season and saw great success. 8 students earned medals for scoring among the top in their respective subjects, bringing home an impressive 20 medals in total. Next slide, please. Our Torres and Desmond percussion teams have had an incredible season so far. In early February, both teams dominated their first competition of the season, securing first place and proudly presenting the Red Pyramid. Just last week, our Torres band program hosted a regional competition for both winter and percussion and winter guard, where our Torres percussion team once again took first place. We can't wait to see what the rest of the season holds. Next slide, please. Our Taurus FBLA students competed at the Central Section Conference in Turlock, going up against over 700 students from Porterville to Modesto. 14 students placed in the top 10, and 8 students qualified for the FBLA State Conference, which will take place in Anaheim this April. Next slide, please. For the first time ever, our Taurus Toro mock trial team defeated Yosemite High School to win the Madera County Mock Trial Championship. Along with this historic victory, the team also earned multiple awards for their outstanding performances. We are incredibly proud of our mock trial team. Next slide, please. Our Taurus Toro artists showcased their creativity at the annual MUSD Art Jam, securing 3rd place. This year's prompt was unity, and our students created a piece representing how we are all a part of the same planet, no matter who we are or where we live. We are all connected under the same sun. We love seeing our Toros express their artistic talents in a competitive setting. Next slide. Our Taurus FCCLA team had an exciting and successful day at their spring leadership meeting and competition at Madera High. Alexia Monsquera, Eileen Hernandez, and Tahira Montalvo placed 3rd in Focus on Children Level 2. Dulce Herrera Castro and Ashley Aguirre Duran placed 3rd in Focus on Children Level 3. Ivan Lara took 1st place in Job Interview, and Aubrey Mendez secured 1st place in Leadership. In addition to these incredible achievements, we are thrilled to announce that Joel Jimenez and Isabel Dalvalos have been selected to serve as region officers for the 2025-2026 school year. We are incredibly proud of our Toro leaders. Next slide, please. Our Taurus theater students recently competed at the Madera Theater Festival, bringing home gold, silver, and bronze medals. They then took the stage at the Linnea Theater Arts Festival, a prestigious state-level competition with over 5,000 students in attendance and adjudicators from both the East and West Coast of the industry. The competition was fierce, but we're thrilled to announce that the Taurus is bringing home 7 medals. This is a huge achievement for our program. Since Taurus first opened, we've been the new kids at this festival, working tirelessly to make our mark. This year, we proved that Taurus Theater belongs at the table, earning more medals than Clovis and our fellow high schools. And there's more. While competing at Linnea, we received incredible news. 2 of our TTC seniors have been awarded theater arts scholarships from Fresno State. We are beyond proud of our Taurus Theater students and can't wait to see what's next for them. Next slide, please. Like you guys saw at the for the meeting minutes, we welcomed the class of 2029 to Toro Nation at our annual 8th grade Toro preview and parent night. Students and parents had the opportunity to learn about the amazing programs Taurus High has to offer. Nearly 500 future Toros joined us for this special event where they experienced their first high school rally, connected with the sports teams, and explored CTA pathways and electives, and enjoyed performances from our performing arts programs. Next slide, please. Last week, we celebrated our beloved mascot, Tony the Toro's birthday. Every year, we host an event called Tony's Wishes, where students have the chance to wish for something, big or small, and we do our best to grant as many wishes as possible. Throughout the week, we were able to grant several wishes, bringing smiles to students and staff alike. We wrapped up the celebration with Tony's birthday bash at lunch, featuring games, performances, and a prize giveaways for participating students. Next slide, please. Here are our coming events. Thank you.
Well done.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Ms. Webster. Next, we have invite Eric Cortez to present the Madera High School Student Board Representative Report.
Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, Superintendent Lyle, members of the board, and fellow community members. Mock trial. This past month, the MHS mock trial team competed in the county mock trial competition. Our students exceeded all expectations and did a fantastic job. Earning honors was Trustee Angelica Castillo for her performance and prosecution as a prosecution attorney. Next. Athletics. Our Coyotes wrestling program saw success this past month as they first captured a second place finish at the D2 Valley Championships and qualified a record 14 wrestlers, 2 of which were from the women's team. to the CIF section championship at Seyland Arena last week. 3 wrestlers made it to the final day. However, freshman standout Bailey Jimenez recorded the highest finish, placing 6th overall. On the basketball court, we're happy to report that the Coyote Hoopers did indeed close out their historic season by winning their first league title in over 2 decades. The CIF rewarded our boys with a first-round home game, which ended in dramatic fashion as Stevie Estrada sank the game-winning basket with 6 seconds left. Congratulations to Coach Lozano and the boys basketball team on a great season. Next. Mexican American Club. Our wonderful Mexican American Club made Valentine's Day extra special by providing a loving atmosphere with fresh red roses to our students. The fundraiser, which saw over 500 students participate, will be used to fund a variety of cultural experiences on our campus. Next. Winter Rally. Finishing off our Valentine's Spirit Week, our ASB leadership team held our annual Winter Rally. The rally included special performances by MHS Choir, student recognition for our FBLA and academic decathlon and basketball teams. As a bonus, we created core memories by including faculty and staff in rally activities and in games. Next. Student Voice. Last week, our student council held another House of Reps meeting where we were able to provide another platform for student voice. It was a great way to conduct both formal and informal surveys as well as get a pulse check on the campus. Next. Coyote Preview. Last Thursday, we held our annual Coyote Preview where current 8th graders were able to come in on campus and experience what life in MHS was all about. From a mini CTE fair to an interactive VAPA showcase, our future Coyotes had a blast as they prepared for the next school year. Next. FCCLA had an extremely strong showing this past Saturday. They hosted Region 8 competitions at MHS for all the Valley schools. Over 200 FCCLA members competed in 24 events. We're happy to report all Coyote members qualified for the state competition in April. 5 of our MHS students earned gold by taking first place in events. Additionally, 2 of our Coyotes, Kayla Haynes and Victoria Rivera, will serve as region officers for the following school year. We are very proud of our Coyotes. Next. Please take a look at our upcoming events. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, Mr. Cortez. Item 8, student board member reports. Trustee Cervantes Hernandez, I invite you to share a report with the board.
Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, Superintendent Lyle, and esteemed guests. I hope this evening finds everybody well. February has been an exciting month filled with a variety of activities. To kick things off, we've been celebrating Black History Month at Madera South with an African drumming performance and informative morning announcements highlighting the contributions of prominent Black activists. The Madera South Public Safety Program recently hosted an event that brought together high schools and middle schools from various public safety programs. Law enforcement agencies participated by setting up booths and showcasing law enforcement vehicles as well as canine dogs and more. FFA has hosted their Spirit Days in which students could have participated in hot dog eating challenges, pieing a teacher, and dress-up days. Their orange harvesting season has begun, which is when students in the ag classes go to the farm and harvest the oranges. This week, the Madera South, or actually this past week, the Madera South boys soccer team competed in the Division I soccer tournament. Our Little Stallions Club raised awareness for teen dating violence awareness by putting up posters, ribbons, hosting presentations with domestic abuse helpline advocates where they provided and shared valuable information. Just this past Wednesday, we had a redo for seniors who didn't pass the graduate profile in the first round. On the same day, we welcomed middle school students to our campus for 8th grade preview, allowing incoming 8th graders to explore not only the campus, but potential future electives. This concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Cervantes Hernandez. Okay, trustee Campos Gutierrez is not able to be with us in person, but is on Zoom and will present her report remotely. Trustee Campos.
Thank
Gutierrez,
you.
I invite
Good
you
evening.
to report.
Yeah. All right. Good evening to you all. I'll be starting with the Ripperton Community Day School report. Ripperton has started the second semester with some of our Roadrunners returning to their comprehensive sites this semester, as well as welcoming new students to Ripperton this semester. Staff and students continue to develop positive relationships amongst each other and create a positive learning environment within the classroom and on campus. This semester, students have been given activities at lunchtime, such as cornhole and board games to play with their peers and staff members. Along with the students' activities, our Ripperton Garden is starting to begin to take shape for another reason of harvest of fruits and vegetables in the coming year. Overall, Ripperton staff and students are working towards another positive and learning semester and becoming better versions of themselves in the classroom and on campus, as well as within their community. On to the Mount Vista report. Mount Vista has started their second semester with some of their Panthers returning to their comprehensive sites, as well as receiving new students. The past Valentine's Day, their leadership team on campus was able to hand out candy gram roses, and their Tier 1 PBIS team also conducted their annual Valentine's Day Heart Attack, which consists of having an individual heart up on their campus for every single student staff there. Love was in the air. Our after school program was also able to take some of their students to an escape room, which helped them learn about collaboration and teamwork. Speaking of teamwork, they will be taking some of their students to Mercer to compete in an alternative ed basketball tournament. Their seniors continue to put their best foot forward to complete their graduate profile and to be prepared for their showcase. Their senior showcase will be on March 24th. And lastly, with the Furman High report, the climate at Furman has been steady as students have been working on their graduate profiles and anxiously awaiting their progress reports. Leadership has been in the works of producing new fundraisers. We have a sidewalk sale in April for which we haven't come up a date with, but we'll keep you guys to date in case you want to donate or join us. We welcome anybody. And that's it for my report. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, trustee Campos Gutierrez. Item number 9, consent agenda. Ms. Elizondo.
Items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine and are acted on by the Board of Trustees in one motion. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless a member of the board or staff requests specific items be considered and discussed separately and/or removed from the consent agenda prior to the adoption of the agenda. It is understood that the administration recommends approval on all consent items. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the Board of Trustees shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended.
I now open the consent agenda for public comment. Ms. Elizondo.
If you wish to address the board on an item included in the consent agenda, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you are joining remotely and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have any participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Thank you. Seeing no one come forward, I close public comment. I now entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. State your name when making the motion and seconding the motion.
Trustee Fleek, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
Trustee Ahmad, second.
Okay, it's been moved by trustee Fleek and seconded by trustee Ahmad to approve the consent agenda. Mrs. Elizondo, would you please poll the board?
Trustee Campos Gutierrez, who is absent. Trustee Cervantes Hernandez.
Yes.
Trustee Ahmad.
Yes.
Trustee Cortez is absent. Trustee Dybert,
Yes.
Trustee Fleek,
Yes.
Trustee, thank you. Trustee Salazar,
Yes.
Clerk Mendoza,
Yes.
and President Seibert.
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 7 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent. One of the votes was preferential.
Okay, thank you. Superintendent Lyle, are there any administrative announcements?
He asks that as if there aren't any. Yes, there are two, President Seibert. I have two really distinguished leaders to bring forward tonight for our school district. We have two really proud schools, both in need of a long-term principal. One, because we had a long-standing, very dedicated leader at Chavez and Stephanie McPherson, who's retiring, and one because we have a very talented and highly respected educational leader at Lavina filling in this year, who will take on the work at King Hussein as it opens. So I'd like to start first with Lavina, partially because it's a school that's near and dear to my heart, a school that my family has an association with. It goes back about 40 years at this point. And one of the things that I feel really confident in being able to say to the community at large is that the high quality reputation of Lavina being a school that really cares about its students and really believes in itself and really believes in beating the odds with, every single year that a student is in their school. I can say that with a really clear conscience because I know that it's true. And I think that the leader that came through the process, who will assume the mantle of the principalship at Lavina, is going to be not only embraced because she shares those same values, but because she also has the same level of passion to serve the kids of our community and the kids of the very specific Lavina community. And although she's only been here for a few years, she's made an incredible impression on the staff at Pershing Elementary. Pershing's had a really tough transition into a dual language school. It's had some losses and some challenges that have been really heartbreaking and difficult. And through it all, the staff has maintained its poise and its dedication to the students. They've rallied around one another, and I think a big part of that is because of the leadership that's been there amongst the teachers and their site leaders. It's a sad day for them to lose Nicole Lack, but it's a wonderful day for the Lavina Warriors. Ms. Lack, if you would please.
Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, and Superintendent Lyle. I am deeply grateful for the opportunity to serve Madera Unified in this new role. I recognize the significance of this position and what it means to the Lavina community. I am dedicated to leading by example, which includes recognizing when I don't have all the answers. Ms. Mua, I'm especially grateful to be joining your team, as I know how much you value excellence and relationships. I look forward to learning from you. 3 years ago, I was warmly welcomed into the Pershing family, and Madera Unified quickly felt like home. God knew that by placing me at Pershing, I would be given the opportunity to learn, grow, and be inspired by so many incredible individuals, and through all 3 of our programs. To my Pershing staff, thank you for showing me the true meaning of teamwork. You are the embodiment of what it means to be student champions. You consistently go above and beyond, constantly finding new ways to support students, both academically and when challenges arise. It has been truly an honor to work alongside each one of you. I will miss you. Ms. Musso, it has been a pleasure getting to know you this year and serving as your vice principal. I have no doubt that Pershing will continue to flourish under your guidance. And I'm also certain that your soon-to-be baby girl is incredibly fortunate to have you as her mom. If I listed all the people who have played a vital role in my growth as a leader, we would be here until midnight. All of you know who you are, whether it be the TIBA team, the TSMs, our assessment, rock stars. The beautiful thing about Madera Unified is that there is always, always someone willing to help and give you grace. I was blessed enough to enter the VP DLI family with Cindy Pena and Sandra Kelly, who are both transformational leaders and student-centered. I am incredibly lucky to call you friends. Thank you for your encouragement and advice these last 3 years. More than anything, I have to thank Christina Riche. Christina, you gave me my very first opportunity to be a leader. You saw something in me before I could honestly see it myself. I still feel like our time together was cut short. Last spring, I remember thinking, I know God has a plan, but I just can't see it yet. Well, here I am today, accepting this position and finally understanding what that plan was all along. Thank you for your incredible friendship, for guiding me into my role as a leader, and for your unwavering belief that God orders our steps. To the Lavina staff, I had the privilege of walking on your campus and seeing for myself what a special community you are. I know how difficult it can be to transition from one leader to the next, but please know that I'm truly looking forward to working with you to ensure our students have every opportunity to succeed while keeping true to Lavina tradition. Thank you for placing your trust in me. To my parents, who made the brave decision to move to the States from Peru and work their way up so we could have more opportunities. I know this moment means more to you than anyone else. I can never repay you for all the sacrifices you've made for us. And to my beautiful family, Salvador, Christopher, Joanna, and John, you've been rooting me on every step of the way, and I'm beyond thankful for your love and encouragement. I love you. As a little girl who could barely speak a word of English on her very first day of kindergarten at a Title I school, I could have never, ever, ever imagined I'd be standing here in front of you all, accepting the position of principal. This just goes to show you how important it is to dream big for our students, especially when they may not yet have the ability to dream for themselves. Thank you.
Wow, top that, next speaker, whoever you are. I have the unenviable task of actually being the next person to say something. And that was beautifully said, Ms. Lack, thank you. I'd like to introduce to all of us in a new role, someone who doesn't really need a whole lot of introduction, not in this community, because she's a native of this community with a lot of Coyote street cred. But she also has a lot of credibility in a whole wide range of endeavors in Madera Unified. She's served in multiple capacities. Sometimes some of us will remember that she was a very dedicated and passionate member of the George Washington Elementary community as a vice principal. Before that, she served as a teacher for years here in this district. Then she had the opportunity to go over to Madera High and rejoin her Coyote roots. And I think that was a really happy experience. And then most recently, she's at another one of our incredibly proud little country schools, Dixieland. And Dixieland, for those of us out there in Zoomland who don't know, is one of those schools that has a history of being competitive to almost an obscene degree, and where excellence and opportunity are the name of the game. They know, just as Lavina does, that kids sometimes out in the middle of nowhere don't necessarily always feel included in how the entire city and maybe even the district operate. But the teachers, just like at Lavina, at Dixieland, really work hard to make the kids feel included and important because they are. And we see, as we've talked about many times in this forum, that our students from our K-8s do exceedingly well in high school. The strength of the programs and the relationships that they build, the cultures that they come from, are really strong and leave a real positive impact on students for years. And I think that Megan Imperatrice got to see that while she was the principal at Dixieland. It's not a happy day for Dixieland to lose another high quality principal, but it is a really happy day for Chavez Elementary. That's a school with a fantastic staff that's really ready to embrace, a new opportunity. I think they're very proud of the work that they've done under Ms. McPherson, and I think they're going to be really proud to know Ms. Megan Imperatrice. Megan, if you would, please.
I have to apologize because I am kind of a woman of few words and hard to follow Miss Lack this evening. So good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, trustees, and Superintendent Lyle. I'd like to begin by expressing my heartfelt gratitude for this opportunity and for your belief in me. I also want to thank my family, who is here for always being my biggest cheerleaders. Serving as the principal at Dixieland for the past 3 years has been an incredible privilege. I'm going to hold it together. This journey has allowed me to grow in ways I never imagined, thanks to the unwavering support of the amazing Cougar staff, students, and community. Leading a school for the first time and building such meaningful relationships has been both a deeply rewarding and transformative experience, making the decision to move on all the more difficult. However, I am excited to embrace this new challenge and continue growing both personally and professionally. To the Cesar Chavez champions, I am thrilled to begin this new adventure with you and to call Chavez my home once again. Thank you.
So President Cyber, one of the strange things here is Megan is going from one of the oldest schools with a tradition that's well over 100 years old to one of the youngest schools in the district that actually has some really cool traditions that you get to be a part of. So learning from two of the oldest, all the way, actually you've been at all the oldest schools, have you not? When you consider Washington, Madera High, and Dixieland, I think those are, I think about the three oldest schools. I mean, Sandon's going to fact check me here, but I think those are about the three oldest schools in the district, if I'm not mistaken. And here you get to go to one of the youngest. That's a really amazing opportunity. So tonight, I think we can feel pretty comfortable that although we have to say goodbye to some quality retirees, we have some really important and optimistic days ahead of us. Where we've seen our teachers doing some work that is really game-changing for their students and the whole school. And now they're going to get a leader that gets to come alongside and learn from them and grow those schools even that much farther and higher. So welcome aboard, ladies. Congratulations.
Thank you, and again, congratulations. Okay, item number 10, information and reports. Item 10A1, educational services, mid-year report on the local control accountability plan. Superintendent Lyle.
President Cyber, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, and all of our fans out in Zoom land who, if they're like the audience here, are turning off their screens. We have a true buzzkill in the LCAP mid-year review. Sorry about that, Ms. Sissel. And we do have some guests here in support, which is always very welcome for us. Associate Superintendent Sissel, thank you for all the work you're doing on the LCAP. Thank you for leading it, turning it into the kind of document that helps us lead through our goals. And thank you for reporting on it this evening. The floor is yours.
Absolutely. Good evening, President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, members of the community, and guests here this evening. I hope that, unlike the previous speakers, I don't bring you to tears from boredom, as many of them brought you to tears from the emotion and joy and happiness. So I'm going to do my very best to share some information with you that, yes, it is required that I come up here and sort of share an update with you all on our progress towards meeting our goals in the 24-25 LCAP, which you adopted in June of last year. But more importantly, it's an opportunity for us as a district to publicly share how we're doing and looking at the goals set in this LCAP. I stated when we adopted this in June that I felt like this was a really high quality document. And I know we've been discussing looking at goals for us again as a district. And I feel like in some cases, we might not have to look too far, because in the LCAP, we have 4 very targeted goals to address student achievement in this district, student engagement in this district, and college and career readiness in this district. And already have the metrics set forth for us to also evaluate. So I'm going to take you through sort of a quick little reminder. The background on this, and this is the second year, again, that we've done this, Senate Bill 114, which was a bill from 2023, added a requirement for LEAs to present a report on the annual update to the local control and accountability plan and budget overview for parents on or before February 28th of each year at a regularly scheduled meeting of the governing board or body of the LEA. The report is really required to contain 2 pieces of information. As you all are aware, within the LCAP goals and actions section, there's 2 areas that are pretty important. One is looking at the metrics. The metrics are important as a way for us to measure the effectiveness and implementation of each of our individual actions. And also, we are to review the amount of budget that has been allocated to each action and really review the progress to show that we've allocated dollars, and where we're budgeting our money, we're spending our money. And that helps with a transparent look for the community, for school members, for staff to see that where we're saying we're spending our money, we're spending our money. So let's start with what is, for us, the overview for the parents. When Madera Unified adopted our LCAP and budget, we did that on June 25th in 2024. So that was the second board meeting in June. The LCFF, the local control funding formula, is calculated using the known information at that time. Since then, the LCFF has been recalculated to include the most up-to-date information. So there have been some very slight increases in our overall board adopted budget when compared to the first interim, as well as the supplemental and concentration grant funds. So the reason that there's an increase is because there's a recalculation of the 3-year average of attendance, and you'll see that we had, as a district, a slight increase in our unduplicated pupils. Reminder for everybody listening, our unduplicated pupils are students who are low income, socioeconomically disadvantaged, who are English learners, and who are foster youth. So that group of students is how our district generates additional funds, and that's where the additional dollars came from. So there was a slight increase in our budget that you can see here. When we adopted it, our LCFF total funds was $307,377,210, and we had a slight increase up to $307,776,598. That money is also increased in our supplemental and concentration grant funding, which for Madera Unified, we earn $89,603,196 in supplemental and concentration grant funding, and we had a slight increase and moved it up to $89,637,346. So tonight, what you'll see is a pattern in the presentation. I will share with you updates on the metrics. So for every goal in our LCAP, we identify metrics that we will utilize to evaluate the progress of the individual actions within each of our goal areas. And for us tonight, we'll be looking at 5 of the goals that are district-wide goals. And then the new for last year, there are 4 additional goals that are referred to as the equity multiplier goals for our 4 schools who receive equity multiplier funding. So as we progress through, we will talk about metrics first, and then we will look at the expenditures and the implementation. And as we go through the metrics, some of our metrics, you'll see we have updates that are as current as December and January, but in some case, you'll see there's just an in progress because some of our metrics aren't able to be measured until we get into May. And so you'll see those when we adopt the budget in June. I'm sorry, the LCAP in June. Same with the budget information. We're going to look at the actions, and then I'll show you what was budgeted in the LCAP and then what we've actually spent. And the expenditures are up to date through the second interim. So all of the expenditures listed tonight are there and are budgeted through what we've expended through February. So let's get this started. LCAP Goal 1 is assets-based multilingualism. So under assets-based multilingualism, I'd like to go over some of the high leverage metrics. So the first metric we'd like to look at here is the percentage of English learners that made progress toward English proficiency as measured by the LCAP. So just for a minute, if I could find the pointer, is that a point? There we go. Okay, so the way the table reads, it's consistently the same. We have the metric, we have what our baseline was. So this was the data that we pulled as our starting point. And then we also have to identify after 3 years where we would like to see the district grow to. And then right here in this fourth column, I apologize, is going to be sort of our update for if we have data results for you to look at, that's where the update is. And if we don't, that'll be blank. And you'll see that in the status for each and every one of our indicators is in progress. So let's start with the English learners who have made progress towards the LPAC. When we looked at our baseline data and where we are, what we used here for our mid-year review data is the 24 California school dashboard results. So in 2023, 49.3% of the English learner students in this district made progress on the LPAC. What that means is they scored at least one level higher. They progressed one level higher, proficiency level higher on the LPAC. When we got our results, when we got our results for the 2024 dashboard, you can see that we decreased by 9%. So this is an area that was a little shocking to us to see that our English learners, that we had nearly a 10% decrease. So what that means is when our LPAC results for the 2024 assessment cycle came through, it means about 10% less students increased one level. So we're working on that. Our goal ultimately is by 26-27 to be able to have at least 55% of our English learners always making progress moving forward. So we've got some work to do there. Our reclassification rate, again, what I can share with you is that at the end of last year, the last cycle for reclassification, we reclassified about 13% of our English learners. We have a goal that we'd like to reclassify at least 20% of our students annually. This is one of those areas that is in progress because the final piece to reclassification is our LPAC results, the summative LPAC, which we are just in the process of beginning. That window for the summative LPAC assessment runs from February to May. So we are right now, every English learner in our district is being assessed on the summative LPAC. Once we get those results in May, then we go in and calculate our reclassification rate. So I can only tell you that that's in progress. We don't have a current status update on that one. Percentage of students earning the California State Seal of Biliteracy. So at the conclusion of the 23-24 school year, which was last year, I know all of you attended at least one or more of these awards ceremonies. We had 298 students that received the State Seal of Biliteracy last year. I spoke with Coordinator Cisneros this afternoon. Our goal is to have about 402 of these kids, so right around 400 be a great goal when we have this completely rolled out in 3 years. I, again, spoke to Coordinator Cisneros, who does all of the tracking of this progress, and she said that we are on track to have probably right around 300 students earn the state seal this coming year. She's tracking all of the requirements and can tell pretty close that we should have right around 300 students earn that state seal. We can't verify that number till the end of the school year because we have to look at the passage rate of the coursework. For our students, it's going to be a language other than English For most of them, it's Spanish, can be French as well. And then we also looked at the college and career indicator for our English learner students specifically. So as a district, we want 40% of our population to meet the college and career readiness indicator. That was our baseline last year. And ELs, about 7% were able to meet that. And let me back up. This is the 22-23. So this is based on the 23 dashboard results. Our goal here is to increase those numbers pretty significantly. I will say this is one of the areas that our English learner students really did improve and showed great progress on, which is evident by their improvement on the dashboard. They are currently an overall yellow on the California Schools dashboard with almost 14%. So we almost doubled the percentage from 23 to 24 of our English learner students meeting the college and career readiness indicator. So that's good news. Here's more of the academic looks for our English learners. So if we look at the ELA results and the math results, you can see here where our baseline is. These are not numbers that are new to you. What I want you to know is that the baseline results were based on the 2023 California School Dashboard. So when you see those negative numbers, again, that's the distance from standard. So you're able to see where all of our students as an entire school district are, and then you can see specifically English learners. What I would show you is in 2023, our English learners in ELA were at 81 points distance from standard. In 2024, they're 76 points from distance from standard. So they made improvement there. And then in math, they also made improvement. They were 111 points distant from standard. Now they're 106. So our English learners are currently orange for their dashboard rating. And as a school district, we're yellow. So again, work to be done there. We recognize that. And constantly working to improve our English learner success. Then we have the NWEA. So this is looking at the percentage of students that are meeting their growth target. So this would be really aligned to the current board goal, which is that 80% of all students would meet their growth target. So when we look at our English learner students, when we did our baseline, it was 39%. So that was at the end of last year. You'll see that right now, we don't have a update there because again, we can't measure that metric until the end of the school year when we complete the final NWEA assessment. So both of those are currently in progress. Here is the actions for the goal 1. There are 6 actions that are found under goal 1. And as we go through this, I will call out if there's any major discrepancies in the budget. What I will tell you is that what we've said we're going to spend, in most cases, we've already spent or encumbered it, or even a little bit more in some cases. So you can see here that we have expended and then spent pretty close to the actual amount. There's a slight difference, a couple $100,000 difference. And in this case, we've actually overspent slightly, which for us is not an issue, especially since what I showed you right there at the beginning is we received a couple $100,000 additional dollars for unduplicated pupils. So those are dollars generated, again, by a large population of English learner students, a large population. In this case, the English learner students are called out under this particular goal. So the overspending is actually something that we're okay with. We're not worried about that at all. And I'm missing my partner in crime, CFO Garcia, to stand up here and give me all the fine details on the budget. But we don't have any major discrepancies. So what I would want you to see is that what we've said we were going to spend generally, we're spending really, really close to that or somewhere a little bit over. And my guidance to you all is to say that if we're spending a little bit over, that's a positive, not a negative, because one of the areas of concern sometimes across the state in the LCAP is school districts that are allocating budget for certain student groups or certain goals and actions, and then they're actually not spending the money in those areas. So again, we're to me, very close to being right on target. So we're going to go now into goal 2, which is high quality student engagement opportunities. So looking at the metrics here, these are metrics that are going to be associated with our students' participation in our ELO. You hear me say, or you hear us talk about ELOP quite frequently. So a lot of that is going to be what you're going to find here underneath goal 2. So the first metric we're looking at is the number of students that are participating or registering for a winter camp, a summer camp, summer school, and summer after school program. One of the things I want you to recognize is we did not double count any students. So though we have probably a number of students that participate in all of these, we don't double that. So they get credit one time, not 4 times, even if they're participating in all 4 areas. So when we concluded last year, we had 3,824 students that participated in one or more of those programs. As of right now, when we look at our 23-24 results, we're up to 4,611. So we've had an increase of a little over 700 students. You can see here the one thing, this is one where I would show you that our goal was 4,500 students to participate. We've already exceeded that. So this is a goal that I can tell you when you see the LCAP come back in June, you'll see a revised metric there. We're going to increase the participation because we've already not only met, but exceeded that goal. When you look at the second metric here we're looking at is the number of students that participate in community athletics recreation department programs. So you hear us talk about the CARD department. That department is brand new, and they started off with a bang right out of the gates. They, in their first year, had 2,002 students participate in those programs. We were able to calculate, just looking at the fall of 2024, so from August to December, they had 1,896 unique students participate in those programs. So again, it would look pretty reasonable to assume that we're going to exceed what we had thought we would get to in 3 years. So again, we will be revising that metric to increase those numbers so that we're constantly looking to move past our goals. Down at the bottom is our Mules program, our middle school athletics and high school athletics. So these are the school-based athletic programs. At the end of last school year, again, 5,641 individual students participated in one or more of those athletic events or participated on one or more athletic teams. Our goal at the end of 26-27 was 6,000 students just in the fall and winter. So up to where we are right now through winter sports, we're already at 4,660. So again, there's a possibility of looking at possibly increasing that participation because we have all the spring sports still to go, and there's a good chance that we'll get really close to that 6,000 number. These metrics, I will say, this work that I'm talking about, we've been taking our LCAP strategic planning team through the review of this. So this is not something that I do or Director Bonilla does on our own. We have a team of about 50 engaged educational partners that has district office staff, it has community members, it has parents, it has students, it has certificated members, it has some teachers, it has classified staff, so and students. So we have a pretty significant group that is advising us on this, and they're all broken down into areas where they are assigned to a goal, and they're then assigned to a strategic action. And so it's not something that we're doing haphazardly, not that it was ever done haphazardly, but we have, I feel like, developed a system now that I feel pretty confident speaking to when we're revising metrics. There's people that are actually following these goals and actions year round. We meet 4 times a year to discuss this, as well as with other stakeholder groups. So when I say we're reviewing these metrics, there's actually a team of people who are reviewing the metrics, getting together and talking about what those should be in a revised form for you to look at in June. So goal 2 is high quality student engagement opportunities. Under goal 2, we have 5 current actions. Here you'll see that as of right now, we had a total budget of 66 million and some change. As of February, we had already expended or encumbered 61 million. Again, this doesn't include any of the spring athletic program expenditures yet. So I would assume, and based on this, I would say we were right on track to not only meet our budgeted expenditure, proposed budget expenditures, but possibly again exceed those slightly. Looking at goal 3. So goal 3 is optimal learning environments. So when we look at some key metrics for goal 3, what you're going to see here is that in many cases, we have our baseline data, but again, this is going to be one of the goals that many of the metrics that are utilized here to evaluate the progress, we will see in the spring when we give things like the Panorama survey, which is one of the surveys that we give to students, staff, and parents use to help us evaluate many of the actions in here. But you can see that the goal is for us to look at metrics around school safety, school belonging, school climate, and school engagement. And so at the end of last year, that's the percentages that were given to us based on students. So that is a student's perspective. Again, we don't have I don't have an update or a mid-year update on the progress because we don't give this assessment again until the spring. Same thing for our teacher survey here. So you can see our baseline results. So this is what our teachers had to say. This is what they reported in the spring of last year. And in June, you'll be able to see what those metrics say. So we would say those are still in progress. Some data that we can report on, though, is chronic absenteeism and suspension rate. So as you guys know, because you guys are experts on the LCAP, I feel like now, chronic absenteeism and suspension rate are 2 metrics that we talk about pretty regularly. And that's because they're in the LCAP, they're under the state priorities, and they are part of our California school dashboard. So if you look at the chronic absenteeism rate, you'll see our baseline, which is there, which was based on our 2023, 2024 chronic absenteeism rates. And then Director Bonilla has worked some magic to figure out exactly where we are currently in the mid-year. So he was able to take our current attendance rates and show us at the mid-year. So you can see as a district, we're projected to decrease our wait a minute, Adam, I'm misreading that. This is our 24 school dashboard. This is 20, my hand won't work, I apologize. This was our results in 2023. I apologize for misspeaking. I hope that didn't confuse you. So in 2023, these were our results. In 2024, these are our dashboard results. So we had a decrease of 4% overall in our chronic absenteeism. And then you can see the different subgroups. The one that is going to be called to your attention is our foster youth students. Of all of our student groups, that particular group did not decrease the chronic absenteeism rate. They actually had an increase. So when you look at the school dashboard indicators, you'll see in all areas our chronic absenteeism rate is yellow with the exception of foster youth where that is red. So that is an area that we're actually having a meeting tomorrow morning to start work on discussing how we're going to address some of the needs of our foster youth students. Suspension rate is one that you should feel really good about, and as a district, we should feel really proud about, because we have a overall suspension rate of 3.7%, which is really low for a district our size. And you can see when you look at our dashboard indicators, we have many greens. So for our all students, we're green, English learners, we're green. Again, you'll see that foster youth, they were at 10.3. Unfortunately, they increased to 14.8. So our foster youth students' chronic absenteeism rate increased, and their suspension rate increased. So as I mentioned, we're putting together a committee to start work on what we can do to improve the supports in place for our foster students.
How many foster youth do we have?
102.
Thank you.
Good thing I did that report last night, huh, Trustee Salazar? Got that number right there. I just presented on our dashboard last night, so it was right there. Okay, so, and to your point, it is a small number of students, but they are one of those unduplicated student populations. And as a student group, they have some significant needs. And it is, when I say an unstable student population, what I mean by that is that the foster system, their students come in and out of it, and they leave our school district and come in and out pretty fluidly. But one of the things that I'm going to talk about towards the end is our differentiated assistance work. And that is the group that we will be focusing on. And in fact, our meeting tomorrow morning to start developing a plan to put some additional supports in place for those students. So goal 3 is actually going to be 2 pages on your slides, because I believe we have 8 actions under goal 3, 9 actions, I apologize. So I'm going to go forward here to the bottom of this slide. And again, you'll see that we had allocated 28 million and some change, and we have spent, encumbered about 27 million. So we're very close to our budgeted amount, which again, our rule of thumb is when we get to the end of this cycle and we close it out, if there's a discrepancy of more than 10%, we have to explain why we either overspent or underspent. At this point, we don't have to do that. And we're looking pretty good on the majority of it. Some of them have a 10% discrepancy, but we also are only accounting for expenditures through February. So next, we're going to look at goal 4. This is the big one. This is maximize student achievement. So there's probably almost 30 different metrics in maximize student achievement. This is the only one. I'm not taking you through tonight every single metric. We tried to identify the ones that are on the dashboard and would be of highest interest to you. So we can provide all the metric updates for all of them, but for tonight, for the purposes of the presentation, I'm highlighting, I think there's 8 of them. So let's start with our CASP results. Again, you'll see here, we have all students on the baseline, but then we have all of our different student groups. And I probably should have put a key, but I'm just going to say this real quick. I apologize. EL is referring to English learner. FY is foster youth. HY is homeless youth. And SWD is students with disabilities. So I apologize for not saying that sooner. But as you're looking through here, that's what those acronyms are referring to. And when we get into the academic, any of the California School Dashboard indicators, we look at them as a whole, but we also look at them within individual student groups across the district. So that's what you're seeing there. And we use the baseline data from where we were at the end of 2023. And we have our outcomes for 3 years down the road. And this is where we were. And the 2024 California dashboard results were released in January officially. So that's why it kind of serves as a mid-year update. What I will say here is when you look at ELA and math, for the first time, I think ever, for all students, we are yellow on the dashboard in math and ELA. We were pretty proud of that. Again, I'm not trying to sugarcoat, and I'm not trying to say that we're even close to where we want to be, but what I can say is that when you look at how school districts are measured on the California School Dashboard, it's on achievement status, but also on the amount of growth your students are making. And so to have both of our academic groups be in yellow is something that Madera Unified's never been able to do, and we're proud of that. Going to continue working, but that's something I want to call out here. This is a new one, everybody. We've talked about science coming on board. It's actually a real live indicator on the California School Dashboard. So it showed up as it. So we have results from 2023, but it became a live, true to life indicator that is now being measured in 2024. And so our science work, you can see our baseline was right there at 14.8% of our students meeting or exceeding. And then in 2024, we were up to 16.3%. And then you can see the individual group percentages there. You're seeing a little bit of consistency here. Most all of our student groups made improvement. Foster youth, again, not to beat a dead horse, but we got some work to do there. And we know that, and we're ready to get going on that.
But one of the things I think that might be important to share, Ms. Sissel, is that like our foster youth kids move in and out of that designation more frequently than most other students. Students with disabilities don't move in and out of that designation. EL students, we want them to, but that's a pretty hard process. The foster youth is probably the most fluid, and the homeless youth, those are both very fluid designations. Is that not correct?
That's correct. As
It's
I
not
think,
the same population.
I think it was
every year
Trustee
is what we're
Fleet who
saying.
asked how many we have, and it's 102, and that's when I was sharing that it is only 102 students, but those students, because of their situation, oftentimes they start with Madera Unified and then they get moved to another county, a nearby county, so there is a lot of fluidity. Now, the one thing that is interesting that we're going to try to dive into a little bit more tomorrow is look at our graduation rate and look at foster youth. So in 2023, 73% of our foster youth seniors graduated. 2024, 91% graduated. So as we hypothesize this, that might tell us that we have more elementary students in the foster care system right now than we did seniors. There's a number of things to look at, but when we're looking at graduation rate, which is our seniors who are in foster care, their graduation rate is exceptionally high and outperforming the state and the county by a long shot, actually. So that is a nice silver lining. Our graduation rate for all students was 90.5%. It went up to 91.7%. That's a very positive graduation rate. That's something to be proud of. And again, we're green on the dashboard for graduation rate. When we get down to the college and career indicator, again, this is a newer one. We've been looking at this one now for about 3 years. But our goal, our baseline is that 40% of our entire student population would be considered college and career ready by the number of measures that they can do that. We started at 40% and we increased to 45% with all students. Our English learners increased. Again, you can see our senior students who were foster youth students must have been doing pretty well because 36% of them met the college and career readiness indicator. And again, our homeless improved and our students with disabilities improved. So what I can tell you this is the work that you have done to protect the opportunities for all students to be engaged in career pathways. I would hypothesize by saying that's the payoff right there, is that we're one of the school districts that's having a number of students and student groups that are able to meet that college and career readiness indicator. And a big part of that is because we implemented a 7-period day. And by doing that, we provided opportunities for all students to meet that. Prior to a 7-period day, an English learner student that hadn't reclassified couldn't do it. Impossible. So that work or your continued support of that, I would just say here is really important, and we're able to show that by the number of students that are able to meet that college and career readiness indicator. So that's something to be proud of. And then here is looking at specifically the board's goal. So our students that we have identified their growth targets. So the board goal is obviously that 80% of our students would meet their best target or their established growth target. At the end of last year, we had about 38% who met that. And then you can see the different student groups here. We'll be able to report those numbers to you when we come back in June, because that's a summative mark. It's a summative assessment. So not until May can we give you those numbers. And a couple highlights. As you guys know, our youngest kiddos, our kinder through second grade students, they don't take the CASP, so they're not really built into the academic measures when we look at the California School Dashboard, but we do like to have measures to show how they're doing and how they're progressing. So in K through second grade, we give an assessment called the MAP Reading Fluency. But again, this is part of that NWA assessment system. So you can see where we ended up last year. We do not have any up-to-date or current data to share with you on the MAP fluency, the MAP reading fluency. We will have that for you in June. But in mathematics, we do have a little bit of results, because it looks like Mr. Bonilla pulled the winter administration for us to look at. And I just like to say this is pretty cool. So last year in the spring, when we looked at all of our first and second graders, only 19.8% were testing at the ready or meeting standard. And in the winter for this year, 31.8% already are. So that's pretty significant improvement. So if there's any first and second grade teachers out there still listening, kudos to you for that great work. So that's exciting. And then you can see as you go down, look at the improvement for our youngest English learners in math, 7% up to 24%. So that's some pretty significant improvement. I know that our elementary curriculum instruction department and our multilingual educational programs department has been devoting a lot of work to improving the outcomes for our English learners. And so there's some bright spots for our youngest English learner students. That's pretty exciting. When we look at the actual goals, there are 15 goals in 15 actions in Goal 4. This is a large part of our overall budget. And you'll see there that we have allocated about $103 million in Goal 4, and we are accounting for about 101 million at this point. So we are safely on target to meet all of our budgeted expenditures. Next is Goal 5. Goal 5, as a reminder, this one is sort of high quality operational services. So this is going to be the goal that's going to have all things associated with transportation. These are all the operational services that keep our schools running each and every day. Some of the, when we're looking for metrics, because the state requires you to have a metric for every action, sometimes when you start looking at these, you have to get a little bit, it's a little bit difficult to find a metric to measure transportation, to find a metric to measure translation services, and so on and so forth. So One of the main goals in here, though, is around our school safety resource officers and the implementation of that. So we are going to look at our panorama data around school safety, and we have student and parent results here. Again, this is our baseline. When we come back in June, we'll be able to share with you those updated results. One of the other ones that is always important to look at is something we call the FIT report, which is the facility inspection tool. All of our school sites go through that. For 23-24, we had 0 instances where facilities did not meet the good repair standard. And as of our mid-year report and our FIT reports for this year, we are at 0 instances where facilities did not meet the good repair standard. So our facilities are being well managed and well taken care of. We look at the budget here. There are 6 actions within Goal 5, and there's some big ones. And so integrated and collaborative school district operational services, maintaining complementary transportation services for all students, the interpretation and translation, technology, safety, and then supplemental support services. So here, we're about $20 million over what we budgeted for. So I can just tell you right now, this will be one that when CFO Garcia comes back, we'll have to explain why we budgeted $235 million and why we actually spent $255 million. So that'll be one that when we come back, we'll have to explain, because that's definitely a difference greater than 10%. But again, I would say for you, it's good to know that overspending is better than underspending. If it were the other way, you guys, I think, would have cause for concern to say, well, why aren't we spending the money? We said we were going to do it. What are we spending it on? So I look at, I won't say it's 100% positive, but it is good to be able to show that we are spending our money like we said we would. So that is the end of the district-wide goals. Now I have the equity multiplier schools, and I bet sitting behind me are the principals of these 4 schools, and I have each of them here tonight. If you have questions when we get to that portion, they would be happy to come up and give you some more specific details. But I'll start with Easton Arcola, and Deneen Guglielmana as the principal, and she's here with us tonight if you might have any questions. As a reminder, these 4 schools, again, were not chosen because of poor academic progress. They were not chosen because of something on the California dashboard. They were chosen because the state a year ago decided that we need to look at the stability of student enrollment. Okay, so the 4 schools that we have that are equity multiplier schools were identified because their student enrollment fluctuates. So that means they might have 235 students enrolled at one time, and then at a certain point, it goes down to 200 students. So if there's a significant change in their student enrollment, that's how you get identified as an equity multiplier school. So Easton Arcola is the first school that I'll share about. And Easton Arcola, they identified some key metrics. And what I will share with you about their plan is Easton Arcola historically has had one of the highest enrollments of our migrant student population. So if you, in your spare time, go back to your LCAP, you can see their comprehensive plan, and you will see that they specifically targeted their migrant student population as part of their work to make their attendance become more stable. And in all transparency, it's not a secret to a lot of people in this room. This is frustrating because in most cases, not all of the additional money in the world is going to change where our migrant families have to go. They follow the work. But nonetheless, right, Deneen, we build a plan to do what we can to keep them in school if at all possible. So the metrics here, you can imagine we're looking at attendance rate, we're looking at how our migrant students are doing when they're enrolled. And we looked at that on their CASP results as well as their NWEA results. And we can see that when we looked at the baseline, which was at the end of 22-23, because that's when, so the equity multiplier schools were identified based on the end of the 22-23 school year. So that's why those are the baseline results. The attendance rate for the migrant students was 90.47%. You can see that as of right now, so a mid-year update or at the end of the 23-24 school year, their student enrollment or their attendance increased by about 3%. So that's positive. And then you'll see that looking at their academic scores, I would call out that their reading and math is, especially their ELA, they went from the 23 school year, the migrant students' distance from standard was a negative 30.3. They're one of not very many groups in Madera Unified that has a positive number there. If you look where they are at where they performed in 2024, they're a positive 3.8. So the migrant student population at Easton made significant improvement in English language arts. And it is actually really significant to go from a negative 118 in math to a negative 186. That's a pretty significant improvement in math as well. So those are the metrics that we're looking at. What I would show you here is the actions that are in that plan were to increase staffing, to provide, to increase staffing, to provide supports for families around attendance and welfare, to increase the academic supports and resources. They wanted to purchase additional SEL learning curriculum, and then also increase some staff during recess, before school, after school, those kind of things. And you can see at the top here, by June of 2025, Easton Arcola migrant students in grades TK through 8 will increase their overall attendance by 2%, as measured by monthly and yearly attendance reports from ARIES, and show a decreased distance from standard by at least 5% in ELA and math, as measured by the 2025 CASP test. So we will be able to update the progress on those goals when we get the CASP results. What you'll see here is that this school was initially budgeted $243,000 from the state to address these needs. And Deneen has expended, Principal Guglielmana, has expended about $157,000. The nice thing about this money is it actually rolls over. So she doesn't lose it if she doesn't spend it. And we've tried to build plans that are meaningful, useful, and can actually be helpful and also be prudent with our spending. We're not just allocating dollars where we know we can't spend them. So that's Easton Arcola. Next, I bet I have Michelle Angus, Principal Michelle Angus, sitting behind me back there. She is our principal at Furman K-12 Independent Study. Yep, there she is, I see her. And again, you're gonna see some common themes here. I mentioned they're all in here for instability rates. So you're gonna see that most of them are doing or implementing strategies to improve attendance rates. And it is hoped that when you improve attendance rates, your academic improvement should also improve, because if students are in school, we would hope that what would be the result of that would be improved teaching and learning outcomes. So you have the results here. Michelle also and her team, and I should mention each of these principals has a team that they meet with, a leadership team that they meet with to review these plans. And they're actually starting that work tomorrow, because all of these schools are funded for next year as equity multiplier schools. So they'll be getting another round of money. So you'll see here that Michelle's looking at her local student climate survey results for 3rd and 8th grade. And then similar to the other schools, she's looking at some growth in her NWEA scores, as well as attendance improvement and also CASP improvement. And her 3 main actions are called out right here. Again, it was increasing supplemental and support staff, It was supplemental academic supports. That was in the way of some like curriculum supports, and then supplemental support for SEL. And she received the largest allocation of all of our schools. She had, she had a little over $500,000, and up to this point, she's spent $438,000. And you can see there that at the top, she hopes to increase the overall attendance rate for both elementary and high school, and will also decrease the distance from standard for her students as measured by the CASP. Next is Mount Vista. Principal Matt Tobin is here tonight. And he was a brand new principal, so actually this plan was written by the previous principal, but he has been diligent in seeing this work through. And so, as you guys well know, Mount Vista is one of our continuation high schools. And so the attendance here has to do with students obviously enrolling because they're credit deficient or having other problems in the comprehensive schools, coming to Mount Vista, getting caught up, but then what happens is they then disenroll and go back to their home school. So for some of our schools, it's gonna be really challenging to ever come out of an instability rate for their attendance. But the two areas that Mr. Tobin is monitoring closely is their suspension rate as well as their attendance rate. I would say really important one to look at here is the decrease in the suspension rate at Mount Vista from the baseline to the end of the year last year. So we'll hopefully see that number continue to go down. Attendance is kind of stable, and 91% essentially is not a terrible attendance rate, but he has a goal to get that up to 93%. His equity multiplier funding is being used for support staff as well as student engagement opportunities. And he's an overachiever. He's actually spent a little bit more than he was budgeted. Good job. Oh, are they out of order? Oh, I apologize. Okay, sorry about that. And then the last equity multiplier school is Ripperton Community Day School. Again, being a community day school, you can imagine that the stability rate there for their enrollment, though they are a very small number of students. The state looks at that, but looks at the stability of their enrollment. And so Mr. Jackson and his leadership team is looking again at suspension and attendance rate, but they also have a strong focus on creating a climate and a culture where students feel valued and belong. And so that's one of the areas that you're going to see here when you look at his plan, where he is utilizing his dollars to, again, increase the supplemental and support staffing. He was purchasing some additional curriculum to support the social emotional learning of his kids, and then utilizing some teacher extra time to minimize student distraction. So what he's doing is he's paying teachers to teach during their prep, and he's creating opportunities for students to come in and always have a safe place to go if there's something that's challenging on campus. Instead of just putting them out in the student population, he's creating an opportunity for those students to have an adult to be with at all times to support those needs. So that is the update on all of the schools. I feel like probably right there is a good place to let you all ask me questions, or our principals that are here, any questions that you might have regarding the information presented on either the metrics or the budget for the 9 goals and corresponding actions within those goals. And then once we do that, I'll take you through some changes for the upcoming LCAP. They don't want us to get bored. They're going to always keep us on our toes.
Okay, members have any questions?
Hope this isn't a dumb question, but how do you keep attendance at Furman if it's independent study?
So attendance at the independent study schools is calculated on work completed. So Michelle could come up and share the entire process. I don't know if you want to know the dirty details, but students are assigned work. They have to turn in their work, and then they create their attendance based on work completed.
But they do have to go in every so often too, don't they?
Are your kids going in weekly?
So
You can come up.
Okay. Our high school kids come in once or twice a week, and our K-8 students are online with their teachers daily, but they do not come in except for state testing. And
But the attendance is.
but the attendance is
They don't get to
is-
count attendance whether students
Right.
come on campus or on
Right.
Zoom. The only way their attendance rate is calculated is based on the completed work.
Yeah, work turned in on time. So at the K-8 level, it's work turned in weekly. And at the high school level, it's work turned in on a monthly basis.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
I have a question on the, it's on the high leverage matrix for goal 1 of the LCAP for the English learners on page 7, where they're reclassifying went down 9%. What do we think on the LPAC is some of the reasons that maybe they went down 9%?
That's a great question. It was a bit of a shock to us because we've invested a significant amount of budget, teacher training, administrator training, and support to improve classroom instruction, improve the environment at our schools for our students. So as of right now, what we would hypothesize by saying is the year before we reclassified quite a few students, and it's possible that like this year we'll see another big bump. We don't have any evidence to show that, for instance, our instruction in our classrooms got worse, not better. But the evidence is that for our students taking the LPAC, there was not the growth from one level to the other. One of the things that could be an indicator is depending on the grade levels. So at certain grade levels, the assessment, like if you're, it gets more difficult. So like there's certain grade levels where we really talk to our teachers and say like, try to get them to pass by 3rd grade. Because when it goes into 4th grade, the test amps up and gets a little more difficult. Then when it goes through like 6th grade, it increases in difficulty again. So if we had more students that were in specific grade levels where the assessment kind of gets more difficult, that would be one area. What we know as a district that is a challenge for us is our writing for our students. And so as you know, the LPAC is broken down into 4 areas: reading, writing, speaking, and listening. For us, our writing scores are a challenge. So we're working on how to implement a more comprehensive district writing program and really increasing the opportunities for students to practice writing. But it's hard to know because every year you reclassify certain kids and then you get more kids in. And you don't technically, the earliest we start seeing reclassification rates really start jumping up is like going to be in 3rd, 4th grade. But we get the largest number of new English learners in TK, well, in kindergarten. We don't assess in TK anymore. So they become classified English learners when they join us in kindergarten. So as kids reclassify out, we are always getting in another group of students as well. So it is something that we're continuing to work on. But as far as if I could just pinpoint, this is why our students, like 9% of them less improved essentially. I don't have a exact pinpoint on that.
Yeah, because I know not in this month, the last month, DLAC meeting, you guys had the performance reports for the parents to understand where the students, whether how far away they were from the level 4 or whatever that's and the LPAC. It seemed like it was in the literacy that they were having more difficulty, the students.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
age, with like 3rd and 4th grade.
reading and writing is for us always the more challenging of the 4 areas. Yes, you're correct.
Thank you.
I have one quick question on the same page, on page 7. This one is mid-year report. When this one stops, when we get this data, to know then this one is negative at the mid-year, can we have something that before or maybe in the first quarter we know, okay, we are going up and down, or is improving or not improving? Can we indicate this or catch this before mid-year? Is it any kind of metrics we have that, so that way we know after in mid-year we are negative 9% or positive for right now this one shows not negative, but if we can catch this before, maybe in the first quarter or the second quarter.
Which indicator are you looking
The
at?
one is that on page 7, the high level metrics, the one we are talking about.
Are you looking at
The percentage, yeah, the first column we are talking about.
So looking at the and you're asking, is there a way for us?
Catch it, you halfway, I mean, this one is a mid-year report, right?
Yes.
We can catch this thing before, so that way we can improve whatever we are lacking.
So I think I understand what you're saying. So there are multiple components to reclassification, but this is looking specifically at the LPAC. So the LPAC is always going to be given in February to May. So when I come and present to you right now, what we do though is leading up to the LPAC is we are always focused on, with our English learners, through something called designated ELD. That is the time where we are utilizing that time to prepare our students to improve their language and literacy proficiency, which covers the 4 areas of the LPAC. It would be hard to pinpoint how they're going to do on the LPAC, because that's one test. It's a single test given on a single day. But we definitely are year-round working to prepare the kids for success on that assessment. Did I answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
So piggybacking to Trustee Ahmad, I know the LPAC is giving, once a year, we don't know. We prepare students for the CASP with the NWEA. Do the EL students have anything like that they will practice that will similar?
So all of our English learner students take the NWA, but there are practice assessment tests for the LPAC, just like there are practice assessments for the CASP. I will say that we are continuing, and Director Uchima, who leads our assessment department, she is constantly going to our school sites and showing teachers how to utilize those tools. But yes, those practice exams exist, and we recognize the need for our students to have an opportunity to access questions and assessments that look just like the assessment they're going to take at this high stakes exam. So to answer your question, yes, there are practice and sample questions that our EL students can take, same as the CASP practice assessment.
I have another question. On some of these, where you list the goal and the budget part of it, some of them, they go over a little bit. And I know I'm happy that, you don't worry about it because we're spending the money investing on our students. Some of them are a little bit lower, so that's fine. On some of the goals, there's a significant difference between what was budgeted and was actually spent. Well, I'm not going to worry too much about it, but on Eastern Arcola Equity Multiplier, action number 2, it was budgeted $143,000. 153, and it was actually spent only 29,000. There's a big difference there. Can you explain to me why there's a big difference and why? And is that by June of 2025 you have to spend that what was budgeted, or is that part of a timeline that you have to spend that money?
So I would invite Principal Guglielmone to come up because she can tell you more specifically what is, let me go there for you so you can see. My guess is it might be associated with staffing, and if we weren't able to hire anybody, then those dollars are, so she's asking the question right here. Under provide additional academic support and resources, there was 143,000 budgeted and only 29,000 has been expended.
Well, first of all, getting this amount of money was amazing because at Easton Arcola, we've never had anything close to this amount of money to be able to spend. And so, a lot of our money was already budgeted in Title I funds. So we were looking at different academic supports and resources. Just considering, again, we have a migrant population that we were focusing on, but we only have them from August until about October, November. So after that, it is our next best, closest thing that we were looking at was our EL students, because obviously the migrant students are English learners as well. So just trying to consider what we were doing for that, providing academic support and resources. We were trying to hire an EL intervention person to provide both academic and social emotional support for that. We were also looking at doing more tutoring after school, but unfortunately, again, when those migrant students leave, some of that falls off as well. So this is kind of a learning year, I think, for us with the equity multiplier. As we move forward, I think we would do some things a little bit differently. The person we have currently in our EL intervention position is a part-time. I would love to have them as a full-time position, which is what we planned, but the person we hired really couldn't. So a little bit of adjustments, I think, for next year we will be making, and just understanding a little bit more about what type of resources we can really plug into our migrant students while they're here, but yet continue on with our EL students later. So just again, a little bit, we have some meetings coming up about that, just so that we can make some of those adjustments. And thankfully, we don't lose that money. So we already have some plans of where we can continue the rest of the year as well as moving into next year. So.
On that last page, why is it that the English learners and African American students are no longer on differentiated assistance?
Oh, I'm going to get there. Are we done with these questions? If we're done with these, I will happily go into that slide for you.
Before we go into that,
I was wondering about Ripperden as well. There was but I'm assuming it's the same thing about not finding staffing to support the students too. Trustee Salazar?
yeah, so again, Ripon, their attendance rate and their suspension rate, even though it has gone down, but just explain to you, what is it your staff is doing to keep those kids engaged and motivated to try to keep them in the classroom and be more, I think before, like your survey, a sense of belonging and a sense of that community, I guess you could say.
First and foremost, good evening, everyone. How's everybody doing? It's good to see all your faces, because anytime I get to see your faces, it gives me opportunity to talk about the wonderful work that me and my staff are doing at Ripperden. But to answer your question, what we've done differently this year is we've put everybody on an incentive program, and through the equity multiplier, we've been able to do student surveys to see what interests them. Our kids want to go out in the community. They want to do field trips, and basically the incentive is for them to be on level. It's not a difficult process. Just come to school. One is your attendance, and then two, take care of your responsibility on campus and in the classroom. And from that, we try to set out at least monthly or every other month a field trip that they have interest. The latest being Alcatraz here coming up in a couple of weeks. So I remember what you said, President Seibert, when you said last year when you were talking about electives and having the kids motivated to want to come to school, and that really resonated with me. And so, to the best of our ability at Ripperton, we tried to duplicate some of those things, and that's why we bought the teachers prep to elicit the student engagement at our site. So our attendance is up, our suspension rate is down, and actually, what we learned when we just met with Mr. Gonzalez is that we were also as a CSI school due to suspension, and now our suspensions have been reduced so much that we will be coming out of CSI. So it's really been effective.
Did you guys do like some student engagement, like maybe in cooking and kind of meal prepping within themselves? Because then that kind of helps them kind of show some of their emotion in their meals and then what they share with the fellow students and so forth.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, last year from our garden, the items that we grew, whether it was squash, tomatoes, we actually created recipes, and the kids would cook for staff members and each other. And actually, that is one of our incentives too, is monthly our students that are on gray and black level, they get to pick like a dish that they've never eaten, and then they get to cook and experience that. So we're really trying out there to keep them engaged. Along with our mentorship, our kids are on fire to go to these different schools and to talk to the kids that are at Promise and help them find different avenues to deal with their frustration and make better choices.
And you guys have chickens out there.
We used to.
Oh, you don't anymore?
No. The chicken coop is there, but we're working on getting
Be a
some
good time to
livestock.
do it now that
Yeah.
eggs are so expensive.
Yeah, right? Any other questions I can answer for you guys? I appreciate it. Good to see you.
Okay, I have a question on your absenteeism.
Okay.
What, 25% chronic?
Tell me which goal are you, because we have
There's no
absenteeism on a number
particular
of them.
school. I mean,
What's
I
that?
think it was overall.
Can you give me a
Read
page
like
number?
25% of chronic absenteeism in the district.
I think we're at 24% is what we are at
Yeah,
currently.
24 point something, yeah.
Yep,
I call it 25.
24. On the dashboard, it says 24%.
Hey, what strategies are you using on students that are chronically absent?
Mr. Marshall? Yes. Would you please come up and assist me? Thank you. That's okay. I feel like you would be better poised to answer President Seibert's question around chronic absenteeism. What are we
Chronic
doing?
absenteeism, they're absent, what, 10% of the time
Yes.
or
Yes.
more?
So there's I believe there's a cut point at X amount of days of missing school, which reaches that 10%, 18 days.
Yep.
And then that's where they're considered chronically absent.
Okay. So, you know, my questions are centered around, okay, what are you doing? Are they, when they come back to school, you know, students getting that chronic point, if you're tracking them, do they have to check in or, I mean, are there different strategies you're using to encourage them that they're better off to be at school than be absent?
Yes, what we've been privileged to do through our student services department, Allison has acquired a grant through her department that specifically focuses on chronic absenteeism. So our focus has been at the elementary level to start them young, encourage our parents and provide our parents with information around the importance of attending school. So those conversations and supports are being implemented throughout the sites for our younger students. And then hopefully as time travels on, the secondary school level kids are in school. Another component that we utilized, our parent resource centers, a lot of our workshops connect and tie in to the importance of attending school. Through that grant as well, we've also been able to acquire some marketing aspects I don't know if you've seen it around December, I think it was November, December. We were able to have the banner over the overpass on Howard Road as far as attendance. A lot of our elementary school sites have posters that are located outside of the school that speak to attendance as well in both English and Spanish. So there are some valiant efforts that are going into that. A huge part of that is providing our parents with the importance and the value of being at school for our young ones.
Did you mention, Mr. Marshall, that we moved all those child welfare attendance liaisons from secondary?
No, I didn't mention that, but that is a part of the focus of elementary. So shifting those FTE down to elementary and trying to hit our students early, hit our families early to provide them with that information in order for us to see success building at the lower levels, which will hopefully provide us with some better outcomes in secondary.
So do you track and target the ones that are chronically absent?
Most definitely, yes.
You have home visits or?
Assistant Superintendent Marshall, this is Director Crafton. My camera is not working, but I can respond if you would like.
Yeah, please do, chime in.
So President Seibert, to answer your question, yes, we actually have liaisons at all of our elementary sites. When we don't have vacancies, unfortunately, we do have a lot of turnover because it is an entry-level position. However, we have caseloads that we monitor. They are working diligently with their top 25 students. They are doing home visits. They are partnering with our community support specialists out of our health and wellness department, and they are connecting our families with resources in the community to try to remove the obstacles. In addition, Valdez Tutoring, which you guys originally approved that contract for our foster youth, the Department of Social Services took over that component. So we sustained their contract through this attendance grant, and we focus on learning recovery. So our youngest students, when they have chronic absenteeism, they often have gaps in their learning. We are really targeting those students with our tutoring services so that they can feel more confident to regain learning loss that they've had because of their absenteeism. And then they follow them while they go back into school, communicating with their teachers to try to make sure that they get them connected and get more confidence built into their abilities. And hopefully that will overcome their reasons to not want to be in class. So the liaisons that have been transitioned from the secondary level to the elementary level are intensely working with our highest need students. And we really are focusing on our TK, K, and 1, doing parent engagement evenings. We've done them at Berinda. We're doing them currently at Millview, and trying to really get parents to understand the importance of kids being in school so that they don't fall behind. I'm not sure if that answered your question, but I'm happy to answer any others you may have.
That's good. I remember when I was in elementary school, I'd get stepped out quite a bit, and you go back to school, you've lost some time. And
Correct.
really lost that time. There was no reach back, I don't think, from the classroom when I was in school, but it looks like you guys are doing those things. Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
One of the other things that we're doing that I failed to mention at some of our school sites in our elementary world, we don't have the luxury of having the student responsibility centers that the secondary sites have. So often when a student is very defiant or disruptive in the classroom, there's not really a place to house them. And so it could result, not always, but sometimes will result in being removed from their learning opportunity and placed either shadowing another staff member or in some cases sent home. So I've been through the grant. I've been able to fund some learning recovering staff members, which are substitutes or they're on extra time sheets, so that students aren't sent home and that they're sent to a space on the elementary campuses to recover learning. So if they are removed for class for a major disruption or they're just struggling and having a really difficult day, they'll go to, for example, at Alpha, they're going to the counseling office. There is an individual there that is not the counselor because she has a full caseload herself, but there's an individual there that is trained by her that works with the student to de-escalate and then to resume their classwork so that they're not, again, falling behind because they're sitting out of class. And that's happening right now at 6 of our elementary sites. So I'm hoping to increase that if needed. But we are piloting it at our top 6 sites that we're seeing a need for that.
Outstanding, thank you.
You're welcome.
And just to mention, the beauty of some of the work that Allison's team has been engaging in is seeing the families come out and engage with their students. So they have a Laugh and Learn workshop that they put on in Berenda, and the family engagement there was really high. Families are engaging with their students, playing game tables, tables at games, and then also building some capacity around the importance of being in school. So I'm pretty excited to see what those outcomes look like over the next few months or within the year. Should be some really good information to report out. Thank you.
I think it's really important to share with the trustees too that chronic absenteeism is still a massive statewide problem since the pandemic. We're still just below, barely below 19% chronic absenteeism across the entire state of California. So we're a little bit higher than that, which is not where we want to be. But the days of parents, telling their kids to, go to school, even if your eyes are bleeding, then quit blinking, I mean, my mom would send us no matter what. And those days are kind of gone now. And it got really easy to stay home. And a lot of kids don't want to come. And so parents needed some help with some strategies to get their kids, like their anxious kids, to school. And it's going to take some time, and every district's struggling with it at this point. So we think we will see some real powerful results based on the plan that was put in place last year.
I have one question. I know you was talking about the elementary schools that you guys are working more towards. What percentage we have in elementary school and secondary and high school for absenteeism? So what?
So the rate that you're seeing, 24%, that is an elementary statistic. So I can tell you confidently that our absenteeism rate in kinder through 8th grade as of the end of 2024 was 24%. So that is a dashboard indicator that is it's an elementary indicator. I'd have to get back to you and I can get that information to the superintendent to tell you what the absenteeism rate in grades 9 through 12.
What you see on the dashboard, though, is only.
Yeah, dashboard, that's why I said I can say it's
Yeah.
24% because I know what our dashboard states and it's a elementary indicator.
Thank you.
Okay?
What's the main, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What's the main reason why students are absent in those grades? I mean, being ill is what they are, is mostly, what's the precise?
Anxiety. That's the highest reported issue. I mean, Director Crafton's still out there, but all the journalism has reflected anxiety. Is that not correct, Ms. Crafton?
So we have a new, I wouldn't say it's new, but the state of California has allowed in the last couple of years for a measure of excused absenteeism to be coded as mental health. It's still something that parents are unwilling to share or nervous about sharing. So I don't know how accurately we are capturing it, but to Superintendent Lyle's point, that is true. Our highest increase is under the mental health reasoning, and anxiety would probably be number one. I would say depression, probably a close second.
Which shows up in our littlest kids as a tummy ache or a headache
Yes.
or something like that. So I would say oftentimes it's going to show up as illness because as somebody who has a little one who has dealt with that a little bit, I have a tummy ache, I have a headache, I don't feel good, those types of things. And oftentimes that's, especially in our littlest children, that is associated directly with nerves and anxiety about going to school. So I would say if you were to look at our codes, you're probably going to see illness is up there because that's what our kids tell us sometimes. They don't necessarily understand that they're feeling anxious. I would say they think they have a tummy ache.
When the student is suspended, does that count towards the chronic absenteeism rate?
Yes.
Yes, it does. So it's kind of a double whammy because it counts in chronic absenteeism, but then there's obviously its own indicator, which is suspension rate as well.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
My thing was saying, like you were saying, that most of it probably anxiety, the atomic, I know those reasonings, but we have Furman from K to 12, except students who has too much anxiety to attend in public, in person. At what point do we recommend to the parents that maybe the child should be going to Furman until they feel more comfortable to be in a physical engagement at school, instead of having the chronic absenteeism with those students?
Again, I can let Director Crafton explain the process, but there are multiple steps that are held by our principals and counselors and support staff to re-engage parents and students. We obviously want students to attend school, so we're implementing multiple resources, investing in additional staff, applying for these grants to encourage parents to be able to help their students get to school. So I would say, not that it's a last effort, because there are some families who want their kids to be there for reasons and they have that right. But I would say we definitely are utilizing a lot of the resources we've talked about tonight to help parents with the strategies to help their students to get to school, to overcome that anxiety. Did you want to add something?
The only thing I can think of to add is that it's a really good option when the time comes. And I think we want to try to make sure that we've done everything we can do to reattach the student to the school and their friends, or to make friends, to be a part of a program they
social
might be
engaged.
interested in, right?
Yeah.
And you might remember when we first started coming out of the pandemic, we talked quite a bit about a joyful learning experience. We wanted kids to want to come to school. And so we need to get them there so that STEM can be interesting, or that music and art can be interesting. We need to get them there so they can be part of Mules and get out there and play, There's actually a really innovative program that Ms. Diorian started, and it just is almost heartbreaking that we had to do it. And it's but PrEP stands for, she just explained it to me, oh my gosh. I feel terrible. I have to go look at our text message, but basically it's what Mr. Kelly is doing, where he's working with our playground and cafeteria aides so that they learn how to de-escalate situations and find those kids who need to be reattached to a friend group, and help them with like getting into unstructured play, or even if it needs to be, like maybe they're in some trouble and we're working, maybe they're in trouble, or maybe we're just working on the social, emotional, behavioral things that we're seeing. Mr. Kelly is teaching these people these staff members, how to get those kids and get them involved in like structured games and play. They have to be at school to do that. And once he's able to get the kids at school, they want to be there because recess is really fun and they get to play with other kids, and it just makes school worth it again because they feel included. But we've got to get them at school, and that's where all of these child welfare liaisons are really important for us, because they're the ones knocking on the doors, making those connections with parents. And the parents don't necessarily know how to combat the way the kids are feeling because it's so alien. One of the things we learned at the conference we just attended in Anaheim is the emerging research that's really compelling about the overuse of devices of every kind. They really do. And we see that, right, when we watch people out at a restaurant at dinner and everyone's on their phone. Even though the family's together, no one's talking. They're all talking to or looking at something. And the cost benefit ratio there is really hurting kids. It's a massive cost. And there's a lot of evidence that the devices are at the root of this. And parents are not making that connection. So we're going to have to continue to try to educate them as to this parenting style that's emerged in this modern era with kids and devices and TikTok and YouTube. They're able to do all of that, but they are not able to interact with each other. And going to school brings them great anxiety, being on that bus, being in that classroom, being in the cafeteria. And so we're going to have to do a lot of work here because technology has changed the game. And if we don't figure out how to educate our parents, they're going to have a really hard time figuring this out on their own. They're just not. They're really busy. So we have a lot of work to do. And this program I think Mr. Kelly is doing is as painful as it is to even admit that we need it. there is some huge benefits to kids just be going out, just go out and play.
Real quick, remind me of that grant.
Engagement program, there you go.
Yeah, I think we talked about. But remind me again, remember the grant from last meeting for 90,000, which is going to do like a survey of our school district, kind of see where the chronic absenteeism is. It going to be something like that, an evaluation of our school district?
So I think what you're referring to is
It's part of a grant.
the evaluation of the grant. So I don't have a deep knowledge of all of the specific actions of the grant, but considering that it is a grant focused on elementary attendance, which is because of our chronic absenteeism, the evaluation process would include looking at the effectiveness of all these things that Mr. Marshall and Ms. Crafton have shared tonight. And that will all be part of the evaluation process that will be conducted.
Thank you, guys.
You wanna go ahead and finish your report?
If you're ready for me.
You get the last 2 pages to go over, right?
If you're ready for it. So to conclude the presentation, I just wanted to share some changes or revisions that you can be looking forward to in June. So one of the pieces that will be new, because I know many of you have asked, is the template changing? And we've said, no, the template's not changing. Well, technically the template is not changing. However, our state allocated funds referred to as Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant Funds. And those are not new funds. We've been utilizing those funds now for, this is our 3rd year utilizing those funds. However, starting with the 2025-2026 LCAP, the state is now requiring any districts who have not expended all of those dollars, we must now write that into the LCAP. So what that's going to look like for us is we had to, and I apologize, there's a typo right there, so please excuse that. It says required to completed. It just should say required to complete a needs assessment. So the state provided a Excel workbook where we had to go in and look at every school and look at all the dashboard indicators and look at where there were red and orange indicators essentially. And after doing that, as a district, we have to look at what learning recovery block grant funds we have left. And then for us, it's going to be about $9 million. And just last Thursday, we met and as a strategic LCAP team, started talking about what items that we are utilizing our learning recovery block grant funds currently for, and then looking at all of those expenditures and identifying which ones align to our needs assessment. And then what you'll see when I bring the 25-26 LCAP forward is there will be some new actions in there. We're not going to write a new goal. Most of our needs assessment point to academic needs. And again, the chronic absenteeism and the chronic absenteeism specifically, as well as our academic needs and our EL progress. So it's not new information. You guys, we've shared all that. What we will do is you will see some new actions written into the LCAP, and underneath the funding, there'll now be a new table for learning recovery emergency block grant funding. So that will be new for the 25-26 LCAP. Some great news. We have in this district, since I can remember, which probably goes back to 2014, 2015. When was the first year we had an approved LCAP? 2014? I feel like it was my first.
I think it was 2014.
Jim? Thank you. Mr. Sargent, I apologize. Expert on all things LCAP. Madera Unified has always had at least one single school who is qualified for comprehensive support and improvement. And so that's for the last 10 years, what that means is every LCAP cycle, the state goes through and looks at specific indicators, and a school is put into CSI on basically a 3-year rotation. So you can only get in once every 3 years, but you can earn your way out if you meet certain academic and engagement indicators. So, super excited. This is going to decrease the LCAP by like 4 pages, just so you know. So in our current LCAP, we have like 4 pages that are dedicated to our CSI schools. And guess what? All of our CSI schools met the requirements to no longer be classified under comprehensive support and improvement. So that's really exciting. Just so happens that 2 of the principals that lead those schools are here in the back, Mr. Jackson at Ripperton and Miss Angus at Furman. So they are both exiting CSI status, which is really exciting. And then MLK Middle School is no longer going to be classified as a CSI school. So it is a really big moment for us to not have any schools. So we know we won't have any new schools going into CSI until the next rotation, which will be 27, 28 is when we'll adopt a new LCAP. Also, some additional good news. One of the other pieces to the state accountability model is something referred to as differentiated assistance. So again, as long as I've been here in the district, differentiated assistance has been something that is generated by our progress within individual student groups on the dashboard. So you look at all of the different student groups on the dashboard, and then within those student groups, you look at how many red indicators or red and orange indicators that they have in the academic indicators and the engagement indicators. And for as long as I've been here, we've had a plethora of student groups that we could choose from. We've done work for English learners. We've done work for our African American students. We've focused on students with disabilities. All of those student groups have multiple times qualified under differentiated assistance. And again, that was because they were either in the very low or low category in either academics, which is English language arts and mathematics, or the engagement categories of chronic absenteeism and suspension rate. We now have the college and career readiness indicator that's also in there. I'm happy to report that our focus for differentiated assistance is going to be focused on one student group. So we didn't have to have a meeting this year to identify what was going to be our greatest need. We only had one student group out of all of our student groups on the dashboard that qualified us for differentiated assistance. And I've mentioned it already tonight. That's our foster youth students. So tomorrow morning, we will be convening an advisory team together to start talking about what work we need to do to put in place to support our foster youth, because as a reminder, they are red in both academic indicators, and they're also were red in the indicator for chronic absenteeism and suspension rate. So we'll be able to develop a plan that's going to be able to support our foster youth students. So that is some of the changes for the 25-26 LCAP. In closing,
By the way, that's also a huge win.
it is a very big.
You just kind of went right past it, like that's a huge win that we have one of the most fluid groups, and it's a really fragile group that needs
It
our
is.
support. I mean, that's a group that there's a lot of passionate people working hard to address and support, like in Mr. Marshall's world. I mean, they're really working on that. And at our school sites, we have a lot of teachers who know exactly which kids they need to focus on that are foster youth. They're very aware, but it's a huge win that we don't have, this huge mosaic of like lighted tiles of
Yeah.
student groups that are red and orange that we need to be concerned about. But what I want you to also hear is we see that our the students that have historically had the greatest challenges in American life are going to still have greatest challenges. We've just moved them out of these categories. That doesn't mean that they're not a focus and we don't care anymore.
Correct.
That's not at all what it means. In fact, the things that the multilingual department is doing, the multilingual program department is doing, and is getting support from our area assistant superintendents to really focus on ELD and meeting our language needs, that's not going away. We want you to hear that. The work that Mr. Marshall is doing on African American excellence, that is not, he and Ms. Diorian and their team, that is not going away. So we still think we are going to keep seeing increases in their achievement and decreases in their chronic absenteeism and suspension rates, because so many good things are now emerging. So I just wanted to make sure we got that into the world tonight.
So in closing, we are in full swing for preparing our 25-26 LCAP to be ready to bring to you at the first meeting in June. We have had our third LCAP strategic planning team meeting. We are in the middle of our work with PAC and DLAC on getting their feedback and preparing to bring their formal recommendations to you in April. We have met with every site principal, and they, in the months of March and April, will each be holding their own school site meeting to meet with their school community to facilitate feedback on the LCAP. We are working with the ASB presidents at the 3 comprehensive high schools, and then we have a representative who's actually a student at Mount Vista who will be representing our alternative schools, working on our feedback sessions for students to provide us some feedback. And then we always have the website available up and running to take any community feedback that anyone wants to share. And I will be meeting with MUTA, CSEA, SIMBA, and the SELPA to also solicit feedback on the LCAP. And we'll be doing that between now and the end of April, because the month of May, my good friend Director Bonilla, CFO Garcia, myself, we sort of become locked down in my office, and we do a lot of work preparing for the 25-26 LCAP. Mr. Sargent gets to spend more time with us than he probably wants, helping support us to get through that, and we appreciate him. And I would just close by saying that I know I'm the one standing up here doing the majority of the talking, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank our principals for being here tonight and the work that they're doing with their force equity multiplier schools. And then Director Bonilla, who is the person responsible for helping me come up with all of the analytics and the metrics, and his team for helping us be prepared tonight. And Mr. Carrasco, who's not here, I think he's on Zoom listening, but he also was a big help. So this was a team effort, though I'm the one standing up, unfortunately talking way too long. I apologize. I don't know how to make it any shorter. If I could, I would. Ask Jim. I tried to find things that I could cut out tonight, and he said, nope, got to do it. So that's all I got for you.
Okay, thank you. Very thorough. Okay, now item 10B, union time. At this time, I invite the presidents of the unions to address the board. Mr. Holder? Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Union members? None? Okay. Okay, item number 11, superintendent's time.
I'll try to make it as fast as I can, and it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. I just want to share with you all that on the 2nd, on the 12th of February, I got to go to Unified Athletics. And for those of you that don't remember, Unified Athletics is where our able-bodied students work with our students with disabilities, and they play an integrated game. In this case, it was basketball. And I just really want to thank Madera South, and I want to thank Director Bitter for his vision on this. He's been an early adopter of this concept of unified sports, and to see our kids have the experience of going through a basketball game and being cheered and they have a referee that comes and he's very professional and takes the kids really seriously. It's just an amazing experience. And in the future, I'd like to invite you to come out and see one of those opportunities so you can just see what the modern version of inclusion looks like in California. And I think Madera Unified is clearly leading the way. Fresno Unified is a really good partner in this, and I know they're working on this all over the Metro Fresno area, but we're an early adopter, and I'm really proud. I also want to share with you that on the 13th of February, I got the chance to sit in for the day with our secondary counselors, and Kristen McKenna, Karen Diorian, and Sarah White need to be thanked for the excellent job they're doing supporting higher expectations, research-based strategies, and a unified tiered approach to providing needed services. Being a modern school counselor is not the same as the guidance counselor we all knew when we were kids. And the difference, I think, will change lives. I'm really excited to share more about that with you. I shared some in the newsletter a few weeks ago. Last week, on the 19th and on the 20th, I was able to go to the county superintendent's conference down in Anaheim. And there were 3 different sessions that we were a part of as a school district, but I'm only going to mention 2. We were all well aware that with all the technologies students use, socialization's been lost in the modern generation elementary schools. We just touched on that. Madera Unified is actively doing something about it. Sean Kelly, Carson Christensen, and Karen Diorian presented on the Positive Engagement Program. And it was packed, by the way, the room was packed. This highly innovative concept makes an important investment in our cafeteria playground assistants and develops their abilities to pro-socially interact with students. They're not just blowing a whistle and telling kids to stand on a wall, far from it. They're learning important ways to de-escalate, redirect, and encourage students to positively interact with their peers on the playground. They provide support for unstructured play, like helping students problem solve and make better friends, while also providing very structured, fun games through which struggling students can be taught rules, resilience, and replacement behaviors. The room was full of believers, and the interest was high to learn how to do this in districts across the state. The team was honest and funny and inspiring. I was really proud. Second presentation that you should all know about that made us, I think, brought honor to the district. Jamie Huerta, Aaron Falk, and Beto Hernandez presented as a panel to explain the journey they've been on to help grow professionalism and effectiveness of their teachers through the Solution Tree PLC process. That's that intensive assistance model. The scope of the journey is both broad and deep, and the teachers have had incredible validating experiences leading their grade levels and classrooms, while our principals have learned how to support, coach, and guide by walking alongside their teachers. We have such high hopes for all 3 as future principal coaches for their peers and for more schools in MUSD that can use research, data, and collaboration to improve their craft and students' academic and behavioral outcomes. As a point of evidence, Parsec just shared that of the top 20 schools in Madera County for academic growth in ELA, Washington is number 7, Sierra Vista is number 12, and Nishimoto is number 15. I don't think any of those schools would have been near as high on that same report had it been run several years ago. I just really think that the progress that these schools have made will endure, and it's our job to make sure that they do. I want to congratulate the principals. They made us very proud. Our CIF Central Section Wrestling Championships have been spotlighted this evening. They happen Friday and Saturday at Sound Arena. But I want to congratulate District Athletic Director Marty Bitter, Card Director James Gambrell, and the other 3 high school athletic directors, Andrea Devine, John Fernandez, Jordan Murphy, for all successfully hosting the CIF Central Section Wrestling Championship. The level of coordination that they're all engaging in now, I think, should make us all very proud. And the named individuals would be upset with me if I did not provide a full level of gratitude for our maintenance and operations teams, led by Eric Phelp, who has expert knowledge in wrestling, for their incredible professionalism and teamwork. And yet again, the coaches from around the valley and the Selland Arena staff provided many compliments for how well this massive event ran. These M&O staff, coaches, volunteers, admin assistants, and directors lived out the motto, 3 3 schools, 1 community. And then lastly, our strategic action plan. I want to thank Dr. Mua, Mr. Catalan, and Mr. Rodriguez for organizing our last SAP day yesterday at Torres High School. Liz and I visited more than 10 schools of our 28, and the teacher leadership teams were outstanding. There was certainly a variety of competencies displayed and displays of expertise, but yesterday seemed like it was clearly the high water mark of professionalism. I want to thank the approximately 150 teacher leaders who collaborated with their peers and site leaders to develop flexible and responsive plans for their respective schools. I could not be more proud of the leadership, the expertise, and professionalism, the passion, and teamwork they all showed. The reason we're improving and challenging the status quo is because of these leaders at our school sites and the collaborative time they are now all able to spend together to problem solve and plan and respond. Only good things come from this point forward. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 12, new business. Superintendent Board election of the 2025 California School Board Association's Delegate Assembly. Subregion 10A, Madera and Mariposa counties. Superintendent Lyle.
President Seibert, Clerk Mendoza, members of the board, this is an item that we talk about periodically, and unfortunately, I think there's no person that we can move forward as a write-in. I think the opportunity to do that was back in January, and it's now passed. So, we can not vote for the candidate, or we can vote for the candidate, and that's Barbara Bigelow.
Yeah, I've asked probably last year that you guys bring that up to us before it's too late again.
We'll try to do that as early as possible.
Try to work on that again. Okay, now, where are we at? Okay, now open this for public comment.
If you wish to address the board regarding this item, please step up to the podium and state your name and city of residence. If you're joining remotely, and we do have 30 people, and would like to make a public comment, click on the reactions icon located at the bottom of your screen. In the reactions window, click on the raise hand button and wait for your name to be called. Speakers will be allowed to address the board in the order they approach the podium or appear on our screen. President Seibert, we do not have participants who wish to address the board at this time.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lozando. Seeing none, come forward. I'll close public comment. Trustees, do you have any thoughts or comments about the candidate Barbara Bigelow?
I know Barbara Bigelow, and I've been on committees and boards with her. She gets things done, and if she wants to do this, I say let her have it because she would do a really good job. And she's done it before, so it's not like it's, yeah, but she's really good, so I say we vote for her.
She's only done it for about 38 years, I guess.
Yeah. She's been on the board probably not as long as trustee Seibert. I think she has.
Okay, do we have a motion and a second to
Clerk Mendoza, I move to approve Barbara Bigelow for the election of 2025 California School Board Association Delegate Assembly, Subregion 10A, Madera, Mariposa County.
Trustee Fleek, I'll second.
Okay, been moved by trustee Mendoza and second by trustee Fleek to vote for Barbara Bigelow for the elections of 2025 California School Board Association Delegate Assembly, Subregion 10A. Ms. Elizondo, will you please poll the board?
Yes, sir. Trustee Campos Gutierrez was absent today, and trustee Cervantes Hernandez just left the meeting at 10:01 p.m. So she's absent for this vote. Trustee Ahmad?
Yes.
Trustee Cortez is absent. Trustee Dybert?
Yes.
Trustee Fleek?
Yes.
Trustee Salazar?
Fine.
Yes. Is that a yes?
Half.
Yes. Clerk Mendoza?
Yes.
And President Seibert?
Yes.
President Seibert, I counted 6 ayes, 0 nays, 0 abstentions, and 1 absent.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Elizondo. Item number 13, announcements. Superintendent Lyle, do you have announcements for the board?
Unfortunately for all of you, the answer is yes. We have a new MUSD student enrollment, pre-enrollment that begins on March 1st, and we're asking that they visit Madera Unified School District's website to complete the online pre-enrollment process. And the annual sixth grade career fair is this Thursday, February 27th, from 8:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. at Hatfield Hall. I need to get there to see that. The Madera Rotary Netherton Relays will happen this Friday. It's been moved up so it's not so brutally hot, at 5:30 p.m. at the Torres Stadium. The California Teachers Association School Board Dinner on Tuesday, March 4th will be in the Red Room at Pardini's at 5 p.m. Let us know if you'd like to go. That's Mr. Holder's event, is it not?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody got a flyer and it said if you can do the scan the QR code and register yourself, people will ask you for your meal as well. So you put your name and then your meal choice. Yes, everybody has a flyer in their mails.
Okay, good, thank you.
I know you, yeah, many of you have enjoyed that in the past, and it's a nice occasion. The Athletic Advisory Committee meeting will be Wednesday, March 5th at 5:30. The Athletic Advisory Committee, Wednesday, March 5th at 5:30. The Madera County School Board Association meeting will be held Wednesday, March 5th at 7 p.m., same night, at Minarets High School. I'll be going to that, I'm sure. Budget and Finance Committee meeting will be held Thursday, March 6th at 5:30. And the California Association of Suburban School Districts, Cal SSD, will be meeting in Sacramento on the 7th of March. That's an all-day thing. We got to be there by 9 a.m. if I'm not mistaken. Option, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent Lyle. Item number 14, miscellaneous. Board member committee and information reports. Do you have anybody want to make any reports tonight?
I do have a report. I didn't attend that many meetings, but I spent some of my time in reading. And one of the things that I would like to share is talking about chronic absenteeism. I was reading an article that we received through CSBA, and it's from K-12 Drive, and it was dated on February 7, if you want to read it. It talks a lot about how tutoring, one-on-one tutoring can reduce absenteeism by improving student-teacher relationships and the student's sense of belonging, something that we just spoke with Assistant Superintendent Sissel presented. So they're following, they examined the Washington, D.C.'s high-impact tutoring initiative across 141 public schools, focusing on at-risk students. And one of the findings were students were 1.2 percentage points, 7% less likely to be absent on days with scheduled tutoring. Middle school students and those with extreme prior absenteeism show the strongest improvements. And then tutoring during school hours and with small tutor to student ratios was most effective, with chronic absenteeism at 28% nationally in 22-23. And high impact tutoring offers a promising solution. So, I know we talked about after school tutoring, and that's not possible because of the way the program is set up to have one-on-one. But I think that will be something maybe in the future to consider supporting our teachers in the classroom. The other article that I read was regarding Compton Unified School District, and this is from the Los Angeles Times. Also, we got it through CSBA, and this was dated February 11, and states like Compton Unified stands out as a national leader in raising student test scores. There's a long article that it talks about what they did to raise student scores. And one of the things also that they mentioned, it caught my attention, was they also offer tutoring. And the tutoring is done on the spot. And they have about 227 tutors during the daytime in the classroom. They come in and the teacher is teaching, and there's it looks like high school students or early, college students. They just go in the classroom, and it was a student standing right there. And if the student needs support, then the teacher signals the student, and he or she sits with 5 or 6 students at a table, and they work on that, and that has proven that has helped them. One of the schools also has one day, can't remember if it's multiplication facts that they have to do as well. And I think I read down one of the reports. I'm not sure it's Chavez. I don't know what school does the same thing. So anyway, I just wanted to share my readings in case that you missed it. I know we get a lot of information from CSBA, but this caught my attention. So that's all I have to report.
Thank you.
On February 12, I attended a PAC Advisory Committee meeting where we was updated on California assessment of student performance and progress report. Also, LCAP, Goal 2 and Goal 3, high quality student engagement opportunity and effective learning environment. It was a good meeting. This is first time I attended, so. And got a lot of information, learned a lot on these new goals. Also, on February 20th, I attended a district safety committee meeting via Zoom, where we was received gang task force intervention collaboration, and also Valley State Prison redirect program, which is going to be redesigned, I was told, and also was updated on Gonzalez boxing, so which is good, very exciting. The kids will be enjoying that and more active with this. On Monday the 24th, I attended ethic training via Zoom. It was very good session. They have 4 different modules. We was a lot of detailed explanations regarding both conflict of interest and campaigning contribution in law. Also, it was a work information, government transparency laws, and fair process. It was a really good session, and there was a lot of questions. At the end, there were a lot of people have the questions we asked, and I think as it was required for everybody, so it's a good session. If anybody haven't attended, we all should attend it. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to spare everyone and just say that I missed the Masters Wrestling. I was really sad to miss that. But Madera Unified School District hosts it, and staff from the 3 high schools and some district people, they go and they help. And it's funny because some of them say, what can I do? I know nothing about wrestling. But once they get into it, they get excited. And Bailey Jimenez, who's a freshman at Madera High School, I think she's less than 100 pounds. I had her sister when I taught 4th grade, but she's a cute little girl, and she, I think, got some of the highest place than most of our other kids, but that's really good, and especially because she's a little girl. Well, a young lady, excuse me. Thank you.
Thank you.
Myself too, I'll make it brief. I attended the DLAC meeting yesterday, and those parents are very engaging in helping give the feedback on the LCAP. And so they went through their different goals. I think they only went through, there's 3 goals we were going to go through, but they only got to go to 2. But it's good to listening to these parents and their feedback that they're sharing with the different people that are running with Ms. Sissel, that's presentation and explaining to them the purpose of the LCAP and how the funding works and everything. So that's good for the parents. And I just wanted to give an announcement. I think this Saturday, Madera has her first throwdown of the boxing at Madera South at 5:30, if anybody wants to attend. I think that'd be interesting to see the first throwdown of the boxing here at Madera Unified.
I think we might have a VIP table that could be available to you all. Lawrence has been working on that. I think we do have, and is that not correct? We'll get information out to everyone if you'd like to go.
What is this?
A boxing event that's happening at Madera South High School. They've done this for a few years. Yeah. People come from all over. I mean,
Affiliated students maybe help them divert their aggressions in a different, and shows them more pride and in themselves and so forth too.
Well, for me, no actual reports, but I did attend 3 events, the LCAP, the Madera High School induction event, and the safety committee. That's about it. The co-ed dinner, yeah, the induction. Yeah.
Okay.
I had a hard time eating 8 plates.
Okay, thank you, trustees. Item number 14B, suggested future agenda items. Trustees, are there any items you would like to propose for board leadership to consider for future meetings? Okay, seeing none, advanced planning, our next regular board meeting is scheduled for March 11th, 2015. Item number 16, adjournment. It is 10:16.